All right, welcome everyone. This is Going for Two Live, NFL Draft Day 3. Live reaction, live recap, and Dan just left. Okay, yeah, he wants out. Oh, he wants back in. All right, welcome in, Dan. We've got Dan Rosier, Gerson Aguirre, Mike Hicks, myself, Kyle Senra, and we're all here representing Going for Two. And we're going to talk about the draft. I mean, Day 3 is happening right now. We're still in the middle of the 5th round, which, by the way, good estimation on Dan thinking, okay, yeah, when we start, it'll probably still be in the 5th round. I was thinking it'd be a little, I thought the NFL would be a little quicker, but of course, they're a little slow with the times, aren't they?
Yeah,
pretty much.
But how's everyone doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just hoping to see breaking news trade. The Raiders traded for Aaron Rodgers. I'm still holding my hope, but I don't know, man. He's at the Kentucky Derby or something like that.
I guess that doesn't really matter, does it?
But doing good.
I feel like it's actually symbolic. Everyone's like chasing the story. Everyone like horses around a track, right? So maybe that's what the message he's sending to everyone.
Yeah, apropos. Very good. I like it.
But yeah, I think there's definitely been just today. I think some of the fantasy implications. I know that is what we're primarily going to focus on. So looking at running backs, wide receivers, a few tight ends taken here. Although everyone knows my thoughts, or if they don't, well, you'll hear them today.
Yeah.
Any just quick thoughts about this draft this year, and any just general ideas?
It was crazy.
Go, Gerson.
It was crazy. I thought there was a lot of trade. I think a lot of teams did things that you wouldn't expect them to do. The Bears, the Giants, a lot of teams went all in. Some teams they were all over the place. But this year's draft was like really deep for like wide receivers, maybe like offensive tackle, linemen stuff. So it was just a good draft overall. But it just with the COVID stuff and no medical and all that, I thought it was a little crazy.
Yep, yeah, definitely.
I've spent the best part of the past 2 days watching Packers fans freak out because I haven't drafted anyone. The tilt was real. You got this incredible quarterback that can make anyone look half decent, and everyone's freaking out about the Packers. They'll be in the NFC Championship final again for like the 3rd, 4th year in a row, and everyone's freaking out because they're trying to get their defense better, which has been gashed 2 years straight. Raheem Mostert in 2019, and Kenny King was destroyed last year by the Bucs.
Yeah.
And no, we don't want a quarterback. We don't want to do that. We don't want to improve our D-line. We don't want that. We'll score 45 points and hope someone else doesn't score 46. Come on. I just been watching this from afar. I get my kick out of it. Packers fans, you got it so good. It's just unbelievable. And the tilt is just amazing.
My quick takeaway, and yes, I agree with Dave here that Dave from Dynasty Dorks, who was gracious enough to have Garrison and I on yesterday for a while. I'm surprised he didn't kick me off for being so annoying, but Dave's a good guy. But yeah, Packers didn't trade or the Raiders didn't trade for Packers yet, or Rodgers. I can't even say it properly. That's how absurd it is. But absurd is also like the overreaction. I love the draft, especially compared to last year. As soon as I saw a corner, I almost didn't even care about the name. They picked the position they needed to in the first, and I think skill set wise, he's exactly what they're looking for. So I know some people saying he might have been a reach, but I'm pretty happy with that and all the picks they've made so far. And even got the receiver, Amari Rodgers. I mean, that's a slot receiver too, and I think that's really what the type of receiver they were looking for. So as a Packers fan, I'm pretty happy this year. Unfortunately, all the other teams in the NFC North also drafted really well, unlike last year, which they all drafted poorly, which made the sting of the Packers' bad draft not so bad. But yeah, this year not the case. Mike, did you want to mention anything quick off the bat?
Yeah, my takeaway is just like Gerson, I love all the chaos that's going on, but for fantasy purposes, I think we'll talk about some of them in a little bit, but I think the biggest takeaway to me is the confusion of the landing spot for some of the running backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think the gap between the haves and the have-not at running back is very wide now. I think the sense was I think the sense was draft capital was going to indicate that, but there might have been hope with landing spots, late in the 3rd round or today. I think there maybe one player in particular got an amazing landing spot, and I think because of that, really cements himself in my mind as one of the top 4, could even be a top 3 back in this class, even though he's taken in the 4th round. So I'm sure we'll talk about him. Although I think Dave, Dave might have guessed here, so there's a little hint there. But before, question from the listeners. I guess not really a question. I'll give you the chance to defend this, Dan. But I think B-League says is secretly a Dallas fan, says Kevin.
Hey, listen, Kevin, give me my glasses back. That's the first thing. Number 2, soft spot for Dallas. My kids were born there. I have no problem with the actual city. It's quite good. Maple and Motor if you're looking for a good burger. No dramas. But listen, I mean, Dallas have done all right. They've done okay. They've had to pick up that defense. You look at what the Giants have done, Washington and Philly have done this offseason. They had to go deep at defense. Doesn't mean they'll be very good because we know that Dallas has the affinity of blowing things up for no reason. But at the same point, I mean, the NFC East, for what it's worth, it's getting better, and it's looking like it's going to be a very fun division to watch and keep an eye on. I'm not saying that a team won't get into the playoffs with 7 wins again, but at least it'll be a bit more enjoyable to watch than Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz, and I forget who the other guy was. Who did they have at Dallas? Ben DiNucci? It's got to be a little bit better than that. So this is where we're at for the East last year, and it's only going to get better. You see what all the other teams have done. Hey, there was even an intra-division trade. Like I mean, that's the madness, right? Like to come up and get Devonta Smith. I get it. They thought the Giants were linked with the Bama receivers at one point pretty heavily, but I mean, that's just madness that they let them do that, and it was for a third, and Dallas probably blew the pick anyway, so whatever. I heard that O-line of theirs is looking pretty good as well still. That's all right.
And just as a Giants fan, emotional reaction to that, because I know I have a friend who's a Giants fan, and he hated the fact that it was a trade up. He liked Devontae Smith, and he actually likes Kadarius Toney, so he's okay with it. But the idea that the Eagles traded up, not only trade up, but trade up with the Cowboys to make it happen, just to stick it to the Giants, he's incredibly enraged. But
listen, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, them doing that got us another first-round pick for next year and a 4th, I think. So how can you be upset with them doing that? I mean, we picked up Kenny Golladay. Kadarius Toney, I know that he wasn't everyone's favorite receiver to go in the first round. I know there was a lot of – it didn't matter what team it was, right? Like, because there was a lot of, I can't believe that guy's going to go in the first. He absolutely suits the need for the Giants. They don't have anyone doing – I know this sounds – I don't want to start here, but no one doing punt and kick returns. We're absolutely terrible at that. He's going to be dangerous in the slot. Sterling Shepard's very safe, and he's going to get you a good 60 yards a game, but that's it. We have a guy that could be an absolute weapon that can be – an explosive tool that we are absolutely looking for. And you partner that with Golladay, Slayton, Ingram, Rudolph, and Saquon Barkley. They did us a favor because now we get a second first next year, and they came up for a guy. Yeah. I don't want to touch on this because I think this is bad process, but their number 1 receiver is 165 pounds up against James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson, Logan Ryan. I can rattle them off all day. We're going to eat this kid alive. So that's great that they got him, and he could be an absolute star, and I hope Devonta Smith goes nuts, except for 2 games a year. And that's where I'm at with that.
Okay, so that's an interesting opinion just to touch on real quick. That you're already thinking that he's the number 1 receiver there. It's not Rieger from last year. It's not Fulgham, even though he do you think is there a chance Dallas Goedert's the number 1 target on that team, or do you think it's right away it's Smith no matter what?
The honest answer is who cares? At this point, like what's Dallas Goedert going to do? Go for 75 yards a game? Is that their best option? That's where they're at. Like Miles Sanders is inconsistent at best, right? He's either in or he's out. Rager has shown a little, but not much. Hurts, the jury's still out on. They got to hope that Devonta Smith, a Heisman winner, can come in and be that guy straight away. Because I'm not sure that Rager is. Rager's an extremely good piece. I don't hate players. I hate franchises and fan bases. I hope that Rieger and Smith go off this year. I hope they do, because it's great for fantasy, right? That's what we're here for. Yep. But at this point, what are they hoping from Devonta Smith as a rookie that Jalen Rager couldn't give them last year?
No, Devonta Smith is better.
He's clearly better, and he's great, and that's great. And I hope who doesn't like watching Devonta Smith? You've been animal not to, but at that point, like they're hoping this kid off the bat comes out and goes bonkers, and I'm not sure that's a lot of pressure on a kid. I don't think he's a great fit for Philly next year. I think the year after is like, we're looking 2022 Devonta Smith. Have your hopes up for him then, but they're asking a lot of this kid straight off the bat. You look at they can go get a guy like Allen Robinson next year, at least take a bit of pressure off him. You know, that's what you got to hope for.
If he does good with Justin Fields, Allen Robinson's not leaving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, You never know. Just Allen Robinson, for those who have him on their rosters, probably are watching this guy.
I do.
Yeah, me too. I've got him everywhere too. Who doesn't love Allen Robinson, the poor guy? But you're probably hoping no matter what, he goes somewhere else. And they've picked up Justin Fields, and you're going, oh, great. This is great. Because it's not what they've had. And then you're like, man, but if he leaves and he could go somewhere better, we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, it's sad when Andy Dalton might be the best quarterback he's ever had, and now you get Justin Fields.
It's probably going to be Fields, to be honest.
I know. Yeah.
Andy Dalton served a really good purpose for AJ Green, especially for fantasy. You didn't need Andy Dalton to be good for AJ Green to be amazing. So that's how I was looking at Dalton to Chicago. I was like, he's going to give him 150 a year, and that's par for the course.
Just imagine that conversation, though. They asked Justin Field. They asked Allen Robinson, who's the best quarterback you ever had? A rookie that hasn't thrown a pass to me.
Well, he's got to. He's the QB1 now, right? Like, he has to say that almost.
Poor Andy Dalton. Poor Andy Dalton. This is our QB1. No, he's not.
At least last year, like, he went into Dallas knowing what that situation was. Like, Prescott was there, established, and then maybe there's the chance, okay, we might not be able to re-sign him long term. There's maybe there, but he kind of went in knowing he was the backup. Here, it seemed like they kind of pulled the rug under him a little. Although, to be fair, I mean, I don't know if Chicago really bought in that they'd be able to get Fields. Like, they'd be in a position to trade up to what was it, 12 to get Fields? So
but at that point, you're thinking, if you're Andy Dalton, like, why didn't you call, like, New Orleans? If their best option's Ian Book, Taysom Hill, and maybe Jameis Winston, like, that's the place you should have went to. Like, you can't trust anything Chicago's doing at all. Like, I don't know. A serviceable guy that can throw mid-range passes really well. Dalton fits that mold for the Saints, I would have thought. But here we are, and, he's in Chicago, sitting behind a kid that's never thrown a pass in the NFL again. He's done well.
All right, so let's actually start with this discussion here. I like ranking in numbers, so right, the list. But just quick on Allen Robinson, how high do you think you'll have him in wide receiver rankings? And you could think, we talk redraft or dynasty. I kind of get the sense he's young enough that it'll probably be close to both regards anyway. But now that we presume Fields is his quarterback all year, how high are we going to have him?
Dynasty, top 10. Redraft, top 10. I mean, he's locked in there. I mean, he's going to get 150 targets. They didn't really do anything to add to the wide receiver. Well, who did they add again? I think I'm missing someone.
I don't know that they've really added anybody, to be honest. So I don't think you are. And if they are, it's inconsequential.
And they were half trying to trade Anthony Miller as well, right? So
yeah.
Good luck on that.
And he's not old. He's not old. So I mean, I like Allen Robinson, top 10. Maybe top 8, I'm willing to say, It's just a lot of things happen in the draft. We think about it. Aaron Rodgers leaves, Devontae Adams kind of falls a little bit, We don't know where we're going to rank him. Now the whole Dwayne Eskridge went to, what's his name, the Seattle Seahawks. Kind of like, oh, wow, less targets for DK Metcalf. Not saying that he's great, but, it'll take away targets. So, but top 10 for me.
Mike,
want
to go ahead?
I was going to say kind of what Gerson said. I was going to lean in between like 7 and 10. I was high on Robinson, a little bit higher than some, but I've kind of mellowed out on him. But I think we got to wait and see what plays out, because exactly what Gerson said. I mean, even other landing spots, like I was really high on DJ Moore. I know we'll probably get into that a little bit later, but like other guys like that I was higher on with stuff that's happened in the draft, like Seattle drafting Eskridge. Robinson could jump up a little bit, but Robinson is one of those guys that you can just play and plug and not have to worry about no matter what. It's just one of those guys.
Dan, you in agreement with at least the top 10 is kind of as a floor for him?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really argue with what has opened up for him, right? They haven't actively gone out to replace him. The guys beneath him on the roster already are nowhere near him. You're really hoping that Cole Kmet doesn't take a step forward as a red zone threat, or Jimmy Graham doesn't learn how to catch a ball again, and that's something that they're at. David Montgomery, I think, was a guy in the red zone that kind of opened up a little bit last year, and that might have been because he was playing against some really weak teams at that point. So if you're talking about we talk about it every year, and the term is, a little worn, but you look at that safety blanket, and you got Justin Fields.
I think he froze.
Yeah, I guess Fields won't freeze in face of Allen Robinson. So
I think that's what's going to happen. So I think I just kept going there, and I'll cut out again. That's insane. But I can't think that they're going to look at a game plan around anything else other than Robinson with Fields. Anything else, Darnell Mooney maybe on something like that, but.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney, I like him.
Yeah, so, he's nice, but like,
it just, I think I'm not shocked. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Jimmy Graham get cut in the offseason, and then they just go all in on Cole Kmet, because I think Jimmy Graham contract, if I remember correct, it was actually pretty expensive for what he can probably provide now.
Yeah, I think they paid him upward of $10 million last year. So it's probably going to even be maybe even higher this year.
We're talking 160 odd picks in, and they still haven't picked up another receiver, knowing that Allen Robinson probably is going to walk at the end of the year.
Well, they tried very hard to get Kenny G, but they couldn't.
And I wonder, does Fields change that equation for him, though?
Mm-hmm.
Is it enough? We'll see. Well, I guess this year will tell. Okay, well,
I highly doubt it.
I guess that'll be interesting. That dynamic will be certainly interesting next year in the offseason. But yeah, I could see him getting to be a top 5 wide receiver this year. Yeah. Especially if Fields starts the entire year and can gain that consistency with Robinson, especially towards the end of the year, can really be productive down the stretch. A great fantasy option for the playoffs. So I could see top 5 this year.
Yeah, I can see that.
I would take it.
Assuming Rodgers does stay, Adams up there. I think Diggs, if he can repeat what he did last year, is up there. Tyreek Hill's up there. I'm having a hard time seeing anyone else that absolutely stops Robinson from getting into that top 5.
Michael Thomas.
A Michael Thomas rebound might be one. That's true.
I think Michael Thomas is going to rebound big. People don't realize. I mean, I was buying Michael Thomas in the offseason. With Jameis Winston back there, he can just shuck the ball. And they're going to have different packages. And either way, Taysom Hill, well, if he's going to throw the ball, it's going to be 5 yards out.
I think Dynasty is still a little trickier because then you're going to have guys like CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. So Dynasty, it's probably not a top 5, but I think more for redraft top 5.
Yeah, I think a guy like Stefan Diggs is still going to keep him out of that. So if you're looking at Hill, Adams, Metcalf, you're looking at Michael Thomas, even
AJ Brown, I suppose.
DeAndre Hopkins is still a guy that can keep them all out. And then you're looking at Allen Robinson with a rookie quarterback. You're hoping in PPR he's getting 12, 13, 14 targets a game. He's catching everything, and he's popping for a touchdown every other. I think in terms of top 5, I think that might be a reach. But top 10, top 12 is, I think that's about where he is. Because, you've got A.J. Brown. He's in there too. And you never know. There's always that odd surprise every year. Listen, Kenny Golladay is going to get fed in New York as well, right? And then you're looking at a full year in Dallas for Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb with Dak Prescott back as well. Those are the sorts of things that can happen. And if you're talking about a quarterback getting a new player, we just mentioned him, Devonta Smith. What's he going to walk into?
Well, actually, let's
he's going to walk into all of it. He's going to walk into all the work straight away. That's going to happen too. So in terms of surprises, we saw it from Justin Jefferson last year. Could be Jamar Chase again too in Cincinnati. But a guy like Devonta Smith with his best players and up and down Jalen Reagor, and he's back with his old quarterback, that could be, legitimate, especially redraft. Dynasty's another thing, but if you're talking about redraft, you can get Devonta Smith, he's gonna give you your money back. I know that much.
That's true. Follow the targets, right? The opportunity. So Julian from the Point After podcast messaging, Smith wide receiver 1 for the Eagles is Kenny Gainwell wide receiver 2. Sort of one result that eventually we'll get to the rest of them, but Kenny Gainwell does go to the Eagles here in the 5th round as a draft pick. So maybe end up being behind Miles Sanders, maybe tampering a little bit of the hype that Gainwell could have got with a better landing spot, certainly. But what do you think about that statement? Do you think Gainwell could be the wide receiver 2? I don't know that Julian's being entirely serious there, but as a serious note, how high do we think he could get up on the target share podium for them?
The Greg Ward disrespect is real. That's what
Fulgham.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's either going to be, I'm not a big Reagor guy, but I know Dan mentioned, I think it's all about what happens with Goddard. I think Smith is going to be the number 1 target, but I think Goddard's probably going to end up being the number 2 target.
Zach Ertz still there? What?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Unless Zach Ertz gets traded, I think it'll be Devontae Smith, Ertz, Goddard, and then Rager. And then Kenny Gainwell, yeah, he's great. He's the best pass catching running back in this draft. But I think he's going to be more, that third down running back if they need, out of the backfield. I mean, Sanders is a great pass catcher, too. People forget. I mean, Sanders can play all 3 downs. But I think with Sanders lingering injuries, that's probably why they wanted to draft a guy with similar kind of attributes that Sanders has, I mean, he's probably not as great a runner as Sanders is, but he can catch the ball just as well as him. So, and with Hurst being a running quarterback, I think running quarterbacks always do really good with pass catching running back. So I like it, but not him as a wide receiver 2 for that team.
Yeah, I don't know if those projections are going to be there that much. But back to Dave's question earlier, I don't know, I kind of dismissed it a little because I'm very much on Team Carter here, but Michael Carter does go to the New York Jets. And what I thought, a good landing spot for opportunity. I have him as the clear running back 4 in this class. And I think it's a tier after him. I think that he's it might be a tier between him and Williams, but I don't think it's that far. I think maybe I'm not the biggest fan of Sermon or the landing spot, but how do you guys feel between Carter and Gainwell? Just those 2. Is there anyone on Team Gainwell that would like to make an argument for that?
I am full bore Michael Carter on this one.
I like Michael Carter, but I honestly think Saleh, he's going to do the same thing they did in San Francisco.
Yeah, there it is.
Split the workload 3 ways. They got Tevin Coleman, P. Ryan, and Michael Carter.
Johnson. Ty Johnson's there as well.
No, Ty Johnson. Isn't Josh Adams still there?
So to me, usage is king, So unless I see otherwise, for now, I have Michael Carter, William, Fist.
Michael Carter's going to play the Tevin Coleman role.
And I know how much you like the guy I know you have 4th, so that does make sense too.
I would still put Trey Sermon ahead of Carter at this point.
Which is the where we're getting at with Gerson. So yeah.
I don't. If you're looking at a 30-year-old Raheem Mostert, you're hoping Jeff Wilson's a thing. He's never been a thing. McKinnon's already nicked off to Kansas. Jermichael Hasey's replaceable. That halfway through the year, and I hope that Mostert can stay healthy, because when he's healthy, he is an absolute monster. But I would think that at the same point, Sermon's going to serve the same role. At some point, he'll take over.
So that is who you have, in fact, right? Gerson at 4 is Trey Sermon?
Yeah, I moved him up from 5 to 4. I had him in the top 5, before the landing spot. I think Trey Sermon, he was a top recruit coming out of high school. I mean, just a great athlete overall. Freak. If you go and look at his highlight, don't look at the playoff highlight. I hate when people do that. They look at the best. Go and look at other highlight and find what he did wrong. I watched that in the early part of the season. I knew what he was doing wrong. He's very indecisive, but as the season progressed, he started doing better and better. His weakness is, inconsistent with pad level, but other than that, he's explosive. He's strong, and he just, when I watch him, he's a violent runner with a purpose, But what I want, the landing spot. And Shanahan runs that, crazy offense. And if he gets opportunity there, I can see him take off with it. And he's going to be the youngest running back they have on the team. So, Mostert is older. What's his name? Breida? Not Breida.
Breida's in Buffalo now. Yeah.
Wilson.
It's just.
And Jermichael Hasty was a 4-year, he was a senior coming out last year, so he'd be older too.
And they didn't have, a lot of draft picks. So if they went and drafted him, he was a 4th rounder or a 3rd rounder, right? He was late 3rd or 4th.
Late 3rd, yeah. 88th overall. I think I have it.
Yeah, so you go and waste that draft capital on a running back. You're doing it with a purpose, either to use him or you're gonna work him in. Because I love Sermon. I think I think my reaction was on the show, Dynasty Dork show. I was excited, and I've gotten a lot of hate for it, but Now that he's in the landing spot, like, come on, dude, keep hating,
By the way, no hate here. Some love from Gladys Louise Tyler saying, "Holy hell, what up, G?" Also B. So yeah, Gladys, our co-host on the Monday Night Stand. So yeah, and Mike, you're gonna have to drop some letters in your name for you to be one letter.
Yeah.
If you drop the mic, you'll be drop the FF. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, this is a good time maybe to just kind of recap everything that's happened on. We'll do what's happened so far on day 3. How about that from different positions? Yeah. So I'll just quickly run through. So far, I think there's only been one quarterback on day 3 that's been taken. Ian Book to the Saints, and we've already referenced it. As for running backs, Michael Carter going in the 4th round, 107th overall to the New York Jets. Kenway Nwaganu? Yeah. Okay. you got that, Gerson. Minnesota, 119th overall.
Nwangwu. There we go.
Nwangwu. Okay.
There you go.
Again, Dan knew it too. I mispronounced the name. Of course I did. We've got Ramondre.
You're the worst.
I am. Ramondre Stevenson. I believe that one's right. To the Patriots, the next pick immediately at 120th overall. Chuba Hubbard, go Canada, but not the landing spot in Carolina at 126th overall. And then finally, Kenny Gainwell, 5th round, 150th overall to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question for you guys? Because I know we're going over running backs and running back positioning at this. Are you sure? Are you sure that Javonte Williams in Denver is better than Sermon in San Fran for this year?
Better than who?
Yes. I
just saw Williams go 102 in a league. I didn't even know my draft started.
Wow, no love for Etienne there. I wouldn't. So he went 103.
He went 103, but I'm watching this now, and I just saw Williams go 102, and I was like, wow, even ahead of Etienne.
That's strange.
Harris unanimous 101. I get it in one QB league, no question. But I wouldn't have put Williams over Etienne, let alone Sermon at this point. If we're talking about landing back, landing spot, I don't know. Denver bothers me.
Again, I actually hate the 49ers landing spot. I think it's the worst committee to be in, so I don't like it. So I think he will, just because it's tougher competition because I think Melvin Gordon's he's been an established workhorse. Mostert, Wilson, Hasty, they never have. So there's in that sense, yes, there's less competition, but I also think he comes in as Williams is very clearly number 2. It might even be a 50-50 split, whereas Sermon, even if he gets to the lead, he's only probably going to get maybe at most 33% to 40% of the actual carries. So I think I'd rather go with Williams even for this year, but certainly in Dynasty for me. I think firm number 3 for me. Still.
I'm still getting Javonte Williams over there. I mean, we can all name our running backs, right? Our top 5 running backs right now.
Sure. Okay, so we were going to do top 5s at one point. We just went through these running backs. So let's go through the top 5.
No, we'll do that later. Let's say that. Okay. That's the best for last, baby.
All right. And to be fair, I know there's one landing spot I'm looking at where it might be enough. If a running back that I believe in enough goes there, I might elevate them into the top 5 ahead of Sermon. Just because, again, I've been very much the last few years bet against the 49ers backs just because it's so unpredictable week to week. Yeah. I'm going to continue to do that. So that's more on me.
So we're going to shout out whoever goes to Atlanta gets that 5th spot. That's what we're going with.
Wow, as if they knew. But yeah, I also like the Dolphins spot, to be honest. Again, if like a Jamar Jefferson goes there, Jefferson's my guy. He's the one that on not so many touches, I think, could provide that explosiveness. And I kind of think the same thing for Carter too, but I'm not so worried about him. But yeah, can move on. Just talk about some wide receivers, unless anyone has any other comment.
But that's the thing. To comment on your Jefferson scene, I was a big DeMar Jefferson fan. I had him in my top 8, I believe, on my ranking. But my problem is now that I think running back is one of the highest positions to judge on draft capital, and if they don't get it, and I see that breakout age, and I see all their talent and everything, I'm wondering what are the scouts seeing, or the NFL scouts, the team seeing that we don't see, Because I like him. I think he's a great runner, but it's just like, he hasn't even been drafted yet, has he?
No. And that's why we're waiting. If he goes to Atlanta or Miami, I'm saying those are the spots, I think. But I think it has to be a mix of the spots, the guys I believe in, because I actually had him in my top 5 before the draft. So
what about Jared Patterson?
I like him too, not as much, but he's another one. Yeah, if he goes to either of those spots, it'd be enough. I don't know, maybe not ahead of Sermon, but to maybe elevate him ahead of almost everyone else from today.
It's gonna be Kylan Hill, as much as all the other guys that we've been on the show with.
I love that. I love
Hill.
I might even go ahead of Carter at that point, but yeah, I think clear top 5 for me if Hill goes to either Atlanta or Miami. He's one I've had my eye on for a while. I really liked him even last year.
The one running back thing I think I want to mention to you guys and get your guys' opinion on is, and Dan mentioned it with his draft that he is going through right now. What is everyone's thoughts about ETN and James Robinson in Jacksonville?
That's a death sentence for James Robinson.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
It's a 1, 2, 3 punch. No, it isn't. It's a knockout. He's done. That's
just like Gerson said. I mean, everyone. I know one of my friends was trying to sell Robinson right before the draft, and he couldn't do it. And without having that draft capital that Gerson mentioned, ETN is got to be the guy. And the one thing I know it's smokescreen, but why would the heck would Urban Meyer come out and say, "Oh, he's going to be a third down back"? Come on, you put a first round draft pick on him. He ain't a third down back.
No.
Although to be fair, is that admitting that that's the most important part of the game? We want him on every pass catching down, and we don't mind taking him off of some first downs. And that's the thing. He might end up being a workhorse, but I do wonder. I think James Robinson takes some touchdown upside away because that's the one knock on Etienne. It's the interior running, right? So I could see as they get into the goal line, as they get inside the 5, it's Robinson that gets almost every carry, and that could scare me off Etienne a little bit. I think it's still. This really hurts Robinson's value, but this is not a great landing spot for Etienne, I don't think. There could have been better spots, so it hurts him a little bit, but no one else got good enough landing spots to take him for me. So
they at no point did they draft a guy in the first round to touch the ball every third play. Not at all.
Exactly.
Not at all. There's not a chance. It's not going to happen.
That's the thing, though. People don't realize this. It's that he didn't only hurt James Robinson value. He hurt Laviska Shenault value. He hurt DJ Shark. He hurt all these other guys. So
I'm not convinced on Shark, but I agree with you mostly.
I mean, he's going to take away target. I mean, last year, everybody was down on ETN, and even scouts were down on him, saying that he couldn't catch the ball. He went out and proved that he could catch the ball. And I hate when they do this on college football players. They say they can't catch the ball. Okay, well, did they get their target to catch the ball? You can't poo-poo on that, but ETN and that offense, I think it's going to be – I think I saw a stat that Urban Meyer runs a 60-40 split with his running back, and I can see maybe like a 60-30 split with ETN getting to 70-30, I mean. ETN getting 70, and then James Robinson getting there, like Kyle says, get the touchdown, get the, those third and short yardage, just smash, get first down. Because Robinson was great. We all love him. He's our MVP. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame for, waiver pickup of the year or something. I mean, we loved him, right? But when you get a first-round pick on a running back, we're not talking any other position, running back. It doesn't happen a lot nowadays, but apparently there's always one or two guys. And those one or two guys, they're the best running backs in college. These guys are it, These are the guys that are cream of the crop. Jonathan Taylor, he should have been a first-round pick. I mean,
imagine him on the Chiefs, yeah.
Yeah. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think Clyde
sorry, Mike.
I wanted Swift.
No, Clyde's still good, man. Don't worry.
That's true, too.
I love Clyde. I think he's still going to be good. He just, he showed it in the playoff. He showed it he had the upside. I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm not moving him so far down like a lot of people are.
No, he'll still get the opportunity. Yeah.
I got issues with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I got an issue. And so it's not him. You go back through the Chiefs reign with how they use running backs. It's 220 rushing attempts, maybe 50 receptions, or I think it was either receptions or targets. You're capped. And on top of that, you've got legitimately the best quarterback we'll ever see. Why do they want to run the ball all of a sudden? Why? What are we expecting? I got Patrick Mahomes. We got a beautiful piece of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm still throwing the life out of it. Why does that all change? We just won a Super Bowl. We're going to run it 300 times. No, we're not. We're going to throw it even more. We're going to get to a Super Bowl. And the only thing that let them down was the O-line at the end. That was it. They'd have won that. He had no protection. They'd have won it again. I still feel that. Tampa played a hell of a game. They were just exposed at the worst possible time.
To be fair, last year we thought the O-line was fine too, though. So
no, they've made a hell of an effort. Like they get to was it Tardif Duvernay, right? They get him back. He took a year off. He was up in Canada being a doctor, and that's cool as hell. But they get him back. He was missing the whole year healthy. They get him back. They've brought in Orlando Brown. They've brought in like extra linemen. They're not going to go to make that mistake again. Okay, Hilaire should be a bit more. He should be better this year. I don't think the outcome's any better or worse. It's going to be 220 odd rushing attempts and maybe 50 receptions again. That's how they roll. That's it. And that's cool as hell. Like that's going to be a very efficient running back. And you know what you're going to get from him, but it's not going to change. I wouldn't have dropped the one-on-one on him last year. Not a chance. So
can we stick with the Chiefs for a sec? I actually want to get some live reaction to this pick. 181st overall, the Chiefs, with their compensatory 5th-round pick, select wide receiver Cornell Power out of Clemson. So, Mike, we'll start with you. What do you think about this pick? Do you like this better than the tight end pick of Noah Gray?
I wanted a wide receiver, but I wanted Sims.
That's true. Yeah, him still be on the board. Good point. Anyone else want to react, or you can also elaborate too, Mike, if you want.
I've been all in on Demarcus Robinson this offseason. I've been getting him everywhere I can. No Sammy Watkins. I'm not sure that's the biggest problem. Byron Pringle's back, and everyone's hoping it's Mecole Hardman, but I kind of feel like Demarcus Robinson on that one-year deal. I kind of like what he might bring to the table this year. I think he might be a deep league sleeper that we can all look at.
So to get to my real feelings, like deep down about the wide receiver core, I am glad Sammy Watkins is gone.
Yeah.
With the money that we wasted on him last year, I mean, yeah, he came through. If he didn't come through in the Super Bowl that we won, he would not have been on the team last year. Because we paid him $13 million that year, and he only did good like 3 games. I was expecting Demarcus Robinson to leave. I honestly thought he was going to be a Giant. That was my honest thought.
Detroit was the offer that he got. He chose the Chiefs over Detroit.
Chiefs. Yeah. But the one thing that I've been missing on the Chiefs, I know we have Tyreek Hill. I don't believe in Mecole Hardman as a number 2. I don't. Yeah. But the one thing that I think we have been missing besides having Tyreek Hill, and I know we got Travis Kelce, and I love Travis Kelce. Obviously, I'm wearing the jersey. But we need someone that's in the wide receiver position that can go up and get a ball when we need to down the field or up in the corner of the end zone, like we had when we had Dwayne Bowe.
You need Dwayne Bowe.
I wanted that big body guy. The guy I really wanted, but he came off a lot earlier in the board, and I know we'll talk about him when we come to wide receivers. I wanted Nico Collins.
Yeah, because it's a huge get for Texas.
Because I love the size, I love the body. Nico was my guy going in. I wrote up. That was my favorite one to write up on for GF2, and I really wanted Nico. But after Nico went, my target went to Seth Williams. I thought we could have grabbed a wide receiver when we grabbed Creed Humphrey, but I understand why we grabbed Creed Humphrey because we just talked about how the offensive line was so horrid last year. At the end.
All right. Any other thoughts about the Chiefs? I know I've done one startup so far this year. It was an auction, and I did put a bid on Mecole Hardman. Have Patrick Mahomes on that team, so it was kind of a bit of a stack there. So I maybe overpaid a little bit for Hardman. This was early enough in the offseason where Robinson hadn't re-signed. Watkins hadn't, like that fate was still undecided too. So it's kind of like I'll take a shot here in case he survives it.
I've been grabbing Robinson everywhere this offseason. Everywhere I can get him, I have. I got a gut feeling that I get it. Powell out of Clemson, he's a good player. He went off like the last 6 games. He had 100 yards or something in each of those games for Clemson towards the end there, and that's great, cool. But Kansas feel like they're very much creatures of habit. They don't need to really. They're so damn good and they're so clinical at what they do. They don't have to do anything different if they don't want to. But no one is really going to stop them putting up 35 points a game. And I feel like that's still in them. And Demarcus Robinson, I think, for a guy that you can get, I've been getting him stupid late. And especially in best ball, where you don't even have to worry about it, he's going to go off for those 3 games a year for like 30 points because no one's even thinking about it. That's where I'm kind of looking at it in that regard.
Agreed.
All right, so very quick, the 5th round is over. The Ravens end the 5th round with a fullback, Ben Mason. Of course, the Ravens are the ones to draft a fullback. They'd be the team too, right? But anyway, so just a few things I would like to quickly plug. If anyone watched the show on Friday or Thursday night, round 1, hosted by Jeff and Ryan, I kept plugging this sweet, sweet hat, so I'm going to do it again. Goingfor2.com/store. You can get this hat, tons of hats, also a great selection of shirts. Like this, pretty fresh. So definitely check that out. You'll probably look way cooler than I am because I'm not cool at all. Because who says the word fresh, really? So,
You're awesome. You're awesome, Kyle.
Oh, okay. Thanks, G.
What a shill. I love it.
Yeah, maybe it's my shield against criticism. You can't criticize me. I've already done it myself. Haha. Take that.
God.
Disarm. But anyway, I don't know if this we can. So what? Okay, one more thing I wanted to plug, and that was to transition into this question. Going for 2, a lot of great live shows coming up Monday night. Gladys will have a great show. Definitely recommend checking out the tweets about that for the 2-point conversion. A couple of great guests. We all need some oxygen. Bob Lung. I know Gladys says I'm cool. I trust that opinion more than you guys, so it's confirmed. Thanks. No.
Every Monday I deal with this. Every Monday, Bob. Here we go. Thanks,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. So every Monday you either get Gladys with 2-point conversion or myself with the press coverage show. But there's tons of great live content throughout the week at Going for 2. So definitely check all that out. But we'll get to a question by Gladys here. Sorry, trying to bring it up. There we go. I can do this. And she wants to know what we think about the Steelers tight end picks. This was a day 2 pick, but obviously we can get into the discussion here. So they are the second team to take a tight end this year. Pat Freiermuth, in the second round, 55th overall. So what do you all think of Freiermuth? And do we like this landing spot for him? And maybe we can talk about a veteran this affects as well. So any Freiermuth thoughts to fire off?
I like it. I personally think it's a good move. I know it all depends on what happens with Big Ben and all that, but I like it.
No, you're talking about Freiermuth, the Steelers, right? Not my joke.
Yes, Freiermuth to the Steelers.
I can see Dan didn't like it either.
That's terrible. Every week. I've missed this. Thanks, Carl. You made me a lot happy. Very good. Oh, you're terrible. I think it's a great football move.
Yeah.
I think it's great for the Steelers because Eric Ebron, he has his moments, right? Eric Ebron has his moments. He's fine. But you can't – listen, when the Steelers recruit a pass-catching guy, you have to take notice. And Freiermuth, he's decent. He's going to come along well. I think I'm with Kyle on this one. I know Kyle Pitts will be – exception to the rule. I'm not interested in rookie tight ends. So in terms of fantasy, great. You can stash him for a year, and when Ebron leaves at the end of the season, maybe you've got something there. Or you could trade for him at the end of the year because he's done little. But, it's a great move for Pittsburgh. He's a big boy. Catch the ball. He can move well enough. Cool. Great. But, again, what comes with Pittsburgh receivers at this point is the unknown at the end of the year, what you're going to get. Like, we're hoping Ben Roethlisberger's there. He probably won't be. So we're looking at another guy with a quarterback in 2022 that's different. No, I'm okay. I think it's great for a football move for the Steelers. I think he's going to be a very talented player, and I hope he has a great career again. But for fantasy, I'm out.
And I think that so Gerson, actually, if you want to say anything, go ahead.
I like Pat a lot. I think he's a great fit for that Steelers offense. The only question is who's the quarterback going to be after Big Ben, But even then, I think I have confidence in the Steelers organization to address that rather quickly, without Mason Rudolph and all those guys that always come into the crappy. But Pat, he reminded me of a baby Gronk, and that was his moniker name. That's what they called him because he goes up there and just snatches the ball away from people. He's very aggressive, very strong. He's a really flat out. He's a football player, like they say, but like he just plays hard. Very tough guy. But I mean, there's a reason why he was drafted so high too. I mean, this draft capital gives him pretty good for tight end. I like him. I wouldn't be drafting him like what in the first 2 rounds of your draft, maybe your third late, of your rookie draft.
Yeah.
Don't be reaching for him for sure. I mean, I don't know how much Ebron's getting paid, but if Ebron's getting paid a lot and they drafted this guy and then he steps in, that'd be awesome. But I know Gladys is a big Ebron fan, so I don't want to talk shit on him. So
now, for redraft purposes, are we still? Is anyone here taking Frymouth over Ebron for redraft just in 2021?
Not touching either of them in redraft.
Oh. Well, I'm not touching Ebron in redraft.
Yeah, okay. I think that the fair thing is they're both going to be so low, but this does hurt Ebron's value, I think, because he was draftable before this, but this definitely hurts. Looking at his contract, it looks like he's under contract till 2025, but it's a bunch of voided years, I think. Seems really like the last of the they can't cut him this year. The dead cap is almost twice as much as his cap hit, but then it looks like after that, it looks like maybe $3 million dead cap next year and then nothing after 2022. So they might be able to cut him next year. It seems like.
We're talking about an offseason where we're talking about going off to buy Cole Kmet, Adam Troutman, those guys low at the end of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Pat Frymouth this year. For me, and listen, it's what? End of April, May. We're all going to be wrong in about 5 months' time. But why am I like dropping a draft pick on a tight end on a team that has Eric Ebron, Juju, Johnson, Claypool, Washington, now Najee Harris, right? You get close to that goal line, you got Najee Harris. Why are we entertaining the idea that this guy, listen, and again, at the end of the year, if Ebron's contract can be voided, Juju probably won't be there either. That's 2 pass-catching guys that'll be gone. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with this. The idea that even in redraft he could be an option, I'll go find that person that has Pat Frymouth at the end of the year and say, listen, if you want to get rid of this guy because he did nothing, and I need maybe some tight ends, maybe that's when I'll kind of go and have that conversation. But someone who has Cole Kmet right now that was looking at Andy Dalton as their quarterback was probably happy to get rid of him. We're talking about at some point during the offseason, their starting quarterback, until they recruit one or draft one, will be Mason Rudolph. He just signed a 1-year deal, or Dwayne Haskins. I would hate that if I was a Pittsburgh fan or someone that had Pat Frymouth. That's when you have that conversation and go get him on the cheap. Don't burn a dynasty pick now for a guy that you probably won't even touch.
The roster spot might even be more than the draft pick. Because, I mean, Gerson, you're talking about a 3rd-round pick. That's not a huge investment, but the fact you're taking up a roster spot. I mean, leagues with taxi squads, maybe you're more inclined to do it. I also think, the scoring settings, maybe something that I repeat often enough. You're going to look for him more in leagues where there's a tight end premium. Certainly in leagues where you start 2 tight ends, then he suddenly becomes a 2nd-round pick, I think. Because that position scarcity exists. But outside of those leagues, I am more on the avoid rookie tight end train, even if it is late. Generally, like you said, Dan, they'll usually be cheaper the next year when they fail to produce, unless you get the outlier player, like we could talk about the Giants, Evan Ingram. Jordan Reed, I think, as a rookie, made enough of an impact. And I mean, Gronk as a rookie, there was so much hype there already that wasn't necessarily that cheap. I wasn't really playing Dynasty, certainly at that time. But yeah, I generally bet against the rookie tight ends. In a redraft setting, I would still have Ebron over Frymouth for that reason. Maybe on the verge of draftable last round pick type thing. If you're desperate, I kind of like tight ends in that range. So Ebron might be good for that. It certainly, I think, hurts his value to where he'll be dirt cheap even in redraft leagues, to the point where it might be worth it to take a shot if you want.
Who was the tight end that landed in Houston?
Brevin Jordan in the 5th. Actually, okay, so
right there. So that right there, if you're talking about a rookie tight end, you've got a guy that has literally no one in his way. Nobody in his way. And he's going to be a round or 2, maybe Jordan will go in the 4th round, like back end 3rd, 4th, maybe even later. Who knows? Depends on how your league rolls. Like, you're talking about a team that, I mean, I love that Nico Collins is. I know it sucks for Kansas. I know Mike was saying he would have been a great fit because of his size alone. There weren't too many guys built like Nico Collins in this draft. They're all a little bit shiftier, I guess it's a way to put it. But Brevin Jordan's going to go into Houston, and what? They're got a completely different pass catching group. Like Randall Cobb, he's going to have a role straight away. It's not Kahali Waring. It's not going to be him this year.
If he's healthy, I think Jordan Akins is still the guy. I think
he does 1 to 2 games a year. Darren Fells is gone.
Wow, Fells is 34, so yeah, I don't think he's stopped.
Fells also punched in 8 or 9 touchdowns a year or two ago. So like he had his role. Like as much as it sucked, especially for DFS, I'm sure Gerson will tell you. Every day there it was, and they had a quarterback. Yeah, that's the other thing.
And that was what I was going to get to. Yeah, not much in terms of competition, but not much in general on the team. That's what I think really hurts. I mean, if it's Tyrod Taylor or David Mills starting, or Davis Mills, I don't know. That's not so encouraging. I actually have another tight end. I think I would prop up that, but let's actually go through the list. So Kyle Pitts was drafted 4th overall. We mentioned Freiermuth at 55th. 3 tight ends in the 3rd round. Hunter Long to the Miami Dolphins at 81st overall, Tommy Tremble to the Panthers, 83rd overall, Trey McKitty to the Chargers, 94th overall. A couple guys in the 4th round, John Bates to Washington, Kylan Granson, I always like my name, I want to put it there, Kylan Granson to the Colts. 5th round, Luke Farrell to the Jaguars, Brevin Jordan, as we mentioned, to the Texans, Noah Gray to the Chiefs, we'll also reference that, and then finally Zach Davidson to the Vikings. So Dan, it seems like you're saying at cost, Jordan's going to be cheaper than Freiermuth, but would you have him ahead of Freiermuth if you like, regardless of draft cost?
My base is the same. I'm not touching any of them.
That's fair. I'm probably the same too, but I would.
I just saw again. This draft is going on now. I just saw Kyle Pitts go 105. Okay, great, but like Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, like Hayden Hurst is still there, and I get it.
We're getting to this discussion now. Okay.
I'm just not interested in that at all. I'm not interested in rookie tight ends.
The problem with Pitts that I have is he's being drafted at a ceiling. There's no room for upside.
I get that, but like we're talking about, I think I saw, I think it's our own Ryan Searfoss. I think he put it out there, what, maybe 700 yards? Mm-hmm. Maybe 50, 60 receptions? Like,
you might be the tight end 6, but is that like on a week-to-week basis giving you anything?
You can get that from the tight end 16. You can get that from Eric Ebron, right?
Maybe. I mean, it's not that far.
Like, we're getting that from Eric Ebron. Like, to drop the 105 on an Eric Ebron, and he consistent week a week. Like, I get it, but like, the good thing about Atlanta is Atlanta still haven't replaced that running back. So Matt Ryan's still throwing for his life. So I get that upside is there too. But I just, the kid that ended up, it was at McKitty to the Chargers. You'd think that's a great spot, but Jared Cook, Donald Parham, like none of this like looks good. Like it's gross. It's gross. I actually thought the Giants were going to make a run at Frymouth.
Okay.
And I thought,
trying to replace Evan Ingram, and they haven't even done it. They haven't even touched a tight end yet. So that
listen, we got our Jason Witten and Kyle Rudolph, right? So I thought, at the end of the year, this kid will take a year or two and maybe Frymouth to step up, but. I wasn't even if you went to the Giants, I wouldn't have even looked at it and went, oh, no, I'm good. I just rookie tight ends for me. I'm just I'm good.
Same philosophy. I mean, if Pitts does get 1,000 yards and he gets to 10 touchdowns, you're recouping that value, but you're not really gaining any value. It's not gonna raise him from where he is right now. So it's tough to see. You need him to reach that ceiling just to kind of pay off value, because otherwise. He drops in value next year, but if you spent the 105 on him, are you really selling him low? I know I took Noah Fant early a couple years ago, and I'm kind of stuck with him in that league where people want pennies for him, and it's like, well, I'm just going to hold him.
Has OJ Howard paid off yet?
That's the prime example.
Irv Smith is yet to pay off, and you're hoping this year he can. I just went out and picked up Jack Conklin. For no reason. It was like, I'm in a league with Ryan, and it's like 52 rounds. It was something stupid, right? I'll go get Jack Conklin. He could be Kyle Rudolph. Their system's not going to change overnight. Like there'll be a role there for someone else other than Irv Smith, and he's yet to pay off 3. He'll be in his 3rd year. Like this is crazy that we're thinking that these rookies could possibly do something outside of Pitts, who I get, but he's up against it as well with Julio and Calvin and.
Well,
Hey, listen, Russell Gage is going to get his too.
If he was going 110, 111 in rookie drafts, it's a more stomachable price. But yeah,
105. Come on.
I don't think any of us is drafting any tight end this year's rookie draft unless his name's Kyle Pitt in redraft. And there's no rookies that should be drafted besides Kyle Pitt in redraft. For Dynasty, I think we all can say that maybe Tremble, Pat, and Long, and Kyle Pitt are the only tight ends you'd probably draft in rookie draft, like the late, like third round, fourth round if you get longer, or even put some fab budget, But don't be wasting your time too much on tight end for rookies because they usually take 2 or 3 years. 2 guys that I'm targeting this year, and you guys both mentioned them, are Noah Fant and Irv Smith Jr. because I think this is their breakout season. It basically happens every year. Last year with Hawkinson, his first year wasn't like great. It was good for a rookie, but now second year he broke out. Third year is going to be even better. But I think with Kyle Pitts, he's dynamic. He's special. He's different. And the Atlanta Falcons defense is still going to suck everybody. Breaking news. So
still no run game. No run game, and that helps. But
unless they draft Kylan Hill or one of these guys that we're talking about, I don't know if anything's happened yet. But I think Kyle Pitt is the cream of the crop. Even overall, top 5 pick for fantasy this year, Dynasty.
Yeah, he's already being drafted as like a top 4 tight end in some cases. Some people already claim they have him as their number 1 tight end in Dynasty, which that's a really hard stance to take. I'm just betting against the historical inefficiencies of rookie tight ends, or I'm betting on that inefficiency of rookie tight ends. I'm going to bet against Pitts, and I get the leagues where again 2 tight end leagues that totally changes the value, the scarcity aspect. There's no way, as much as I love Jamar Chase, if it's a 2 tight end league, there's no way Chase should go ahead of Pitts, and any running back not named Najee Harris probably shouldn't, maybe even Harris shouldn't at that point. So it's those leagues, I get it, but anything else, I don't know. I have a hard time, even as much as I think we're not crazy about the landing spot, Javonte Williams in Denver. If I'm on the clock there and it's no tight end premium and it's just a straight PPR league, knowing the scarcity of running back, I'd probably still go Williams ahead of Pitts. It'd be a tough. It's where I'd think about it. I think Etienne, no question at this point. Michael Carter, Pitts. Okay, maybe not there. Maybe I'm not that extreme. But okay. So Mike, did you want to talk about Pitts at all?
Not really Pitts. The one that I wanted to bring up was the whole Hunter Long going to Miami. Because I think this is going to scare people away from Mike Gesicki. And the thing with Gesicki is he's not a rookie, and Hunter Long is. So I think right now Gesicki's a hole, but I already know there's people that are getting scared because of the fact that they spent and got long.
They should have been scared last year when he didn't produce. So I don't know what they're waiting for Gesicki to break out. I think he got his opportunity, and he's still. I think we've seen his ceiling, and there's a reason why they went and drafted a tight end. Gesicki just, I don't know, like he's a weird player to evaluate sometimes. Like I see the talent, but as a football player, and especially with a guy like what's their head coach name?
Flores.
It was very hard not. Like, I hate to say it because I'm not trying to say, just because they're African-American quarterback coaches, but he has the resemblance of Mike Tomlin, He's a football player and he's a people person, He takes care of his players, but he also wants to see the talent. He doesn't care where you were drafted. He's going to put players out there, and if you do what he wants you to do, he's going to keep you out there. But Gesicki, we saw later in the season, there was like 3 weeks in a row we saw a tight end get a touchdown, and it wasn't him. And I was
Shaheen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Shaheen, and then there was other guys too. And I was like, what the crap? Did Gesicki shit in Flores' lunch or something? But I just think I like Hunter Long. And he's going to work into Gesicki's role too. So, and plus, Gesicki, this is his last year of his rookie contract, I believe. It might be next year or this year. I can't remember. But
I believe this will be year 3 for him. Or actually, maybe this is 4.
The positive sign out of that team in particular is we know that it's Gaskin, right? At this point, unless something drastically changes. I understand Jamar Jefferson or Kylan Hill, whatever. But they went out and they grabbed Will Fuller. They've got Jalen Waddle. Like, even for like pass catches there, you have to be slightly concerned about the use of a guy like Gesicki, who, I get it, as a red zone presence, he has it because he's 7'5", but it's one of those things where, like, how that team is set up, it feels like, Waddle and
was great and he was amazing and he got drafted over Devontae too. I think that's what he's trying to say. But you said he was great.
I think yours your point off just talking about how great Waddle is.
I can't believe it's me. I can't believe there's no one at work today, and I can't believe my internet connection is down. This is madness. On a Saturday.
I can read your mind. I'll just finish what you say.
I'm just saying, I don't know what you said, but like if you've got Fuller and Waddle and that speed there is completely something that it's going to open someone else up. Maybe that's a running back there, or maybe it's Parker or whatever. But that's I don't know. I don't know if Hunter Long fits that kind of mold. He doesn't look.
He's a football player. I mean,
he is, and he's going to get his too, right? Like I get that, but
I feel like Flores hasn't really drafted any what do you call it? He's like one of those coaches when he drafts with the perfect. He doesn't draft for fantasy. He doesn't draft
that way.
Yeah. Waddle was probably his first big fantasy pick, I guess you can say, because he just built that. He built the line inside out. He built the defense too, and they've proven it. I mean, yeah, Tua Tagovailoa, sure, but I mean, they had to take a quarterback, So I love what Flores is doing, and they still got more draft capital next year. I mean, this is crazy. This Dolphin team's going to be scary in a couple of years.
They're going to be so good with Deshaun Watson next year.
I mean, they were a 10-win team last year, so they could be scary even this year, really.
13 with Watson, my God.
Yeah, imagine that. So, any other topics regarding these tests?
The only other tight end thing that I would bring up is for dynasty purposes, not even close for redraft, but for dynasty purposes, I think Tremble is a perfect stash on your taxi squad because Carolina doesn't have anyone at tight end. So that would be a perfect spot.
I guess it's just you and me, Mike, but I think if there's a second tight end to go with in redraft, I think it might actually be Tremble over Freiermuth.
Okay.
Just because it seems like the Notre Dame system is much more pro ready, and like those tight ends understand pro type responsibilities with blocking. I could see him getting on the field a lot quicker than maybe Freiermuth. I don't know. Like I think Freiermuth is also kind of known as a decent enough blocker that he might get on too. But I really, even for dynasty purposes, I kind of see it as a tier. Pitt's a tier in his own, and I kind of have Freiermuth and Tremble in the next tier, just the two of them. Because the thing is, Carolina is one of the sweetest spots for tight ends. I think it's maybe the best landing spot for a tight end. I'm not really a big believer in Ian Thomas, never have been, and he hasn't really shown it. He's had enough opportunity and chances, enough playing time to make a mark, and he hasn't. So I think Tremble can certainly get into that offense. So Gerson, we're just talking about Tommy Tremble and how I might actually in a redraft league prefer Tremble over Freiermuth this year. Not that I really want to take Tremble, but if you force me to take a rookie tight end in redraft at last round pick on Tremble, I think I might take the opportunity in Carolina. So if you want to talk Tremble, it's time.
I love Tremble. I think Dynasty Dork put out a message out there on Twitter or like a tweet saying, "Who is my guy?" I had Tommy Tremble as a tight end guy. I didn't want to go with the chalk guys. I wanted to be guys that Tremble to me, especially the landing spot he got. I've always thought Ian Thomas was overrated. I've never liked him. I remember people hyping him up to be a top 10 tight end. I was like, what do you guys see that I don't see? Go ahead, Mike.
49ers just took another running back in Elijah Mitchell out of Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
I didn't like. I wasn't crazy about Sermon, but I definitely didn't like Elijah Mitchell's tape. So I don't know that. I don't think this hurts Sermon. But again, I wasn't that high on Sermon, so it's fine for me.
Are they gonna run like a 5 running back system? I don't know.
This hurts Jermichael Hasty. No.
Yeah.
I was hoping for.
I just think it's funny that he got taken before your guy Kyle, Jamar Jefferson, and a couple of the others that are still on the board. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I honestly like his teammate Trey Ragas just as much, if not even more. Not crazy about Ragas either, but yeah, I think that's who I would have preferred personally. But yeah, Mitchell to the 49ers. I mean, he's buried to me. That's a B on. But thanks for the update there, Mike.
Kind of pissing me off because I like Sermon a lot better. So
yeah, I don't see this affecting Sermon. I think this is more because I think I'll check Mostert's contract, but he might not have much time left. Like this is kind of they know that if they like a deep running back rotation, it might be something where it's Sermon, Hasty, and Mitchell next year. Dan just the heads up, Elijah Mitchell.
Mitchell to the Niners. Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
doesn't bother me.
On Tommy Tremble, I think he's going to step in, in training camp, and they're going to split the workload starting the season, him and Ian Thomas, but they're going to realize that Tommy Tremble is just a better player. And I think maybe, you can get him, snatch him in your late rounds or off your waiver wires or, in redraft, don't touch him. But I think Tommy Tremble, he's going to be one of those tight ends we're going to be talking about in the next few years. It's going to be like, oh, because he's working with a very smart coach, too, Joe Brady. He drafts his weapons with a purpose. What was the wide receiver they just got today or yesterday?
Terrace Marshall, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy value. I was like, wow, okay. And, they're going to be good. I like the Panthers. Nate will probably hop on later on, and he's excited. Is it Nate that's the Panthers fan or the Mike? Mike. Nate's a Lions fan, right?
No, I thought Nate. Yeah, Nate's a Lions fan.
Nate's a Lions fan.
Mike is the Panthers fan. But, it's just I love Tommy Tremble. I think if I were I'm only gonna draft 3 tight ends in this. Anybody I would pick it just be Tremble, Pat, and Pitt. But other than those guys, I'm just gonna
So Dan, I know you like Brevin Jordan for Dynasty, especially. You're saying would you?
It is 100% between him and landing spot centric. That's it, because the opportunity there, it's not going to be Randall Cobb next year or Kiki Kuti. It's just one of those things. And once again, we're talking about, say he takes a while to get some work into the season. At that point, do you think Tyrod's going to be the starter still? I'm operating as if Deshaun Watson is not a Texan at all, no matter what. Whether it's suspension, or if he's going to sit out a year, if he gets traded, I don't care. Maybe he just turns up and he just refuses to play. That could happen. I am just not even going into that world.
Does he dare the NFL to put him on the exempt list where he doesn't have to play? Is that something where he almost manipulates his way onto that list?
I feel like that's something.
He still gets paid, but he doesn't have to play for them.
I'm going to look at that as an option. That's how I'm looking at the Texans with Watson, and I'm going about it as if Tyrod's their starter now. So we're talking about if Tyrod, and you know what his luck's like. If Davis Mills is the starter, then I'm going to assume that a week or 2 later, Brevin Jordan's coming along with him. That's how I'm going about it. They're going to get those practice team reps as well. So,
do you like him more than Tremble? Sorry,
Tremble's at where was it? Carolina, right?
Yeah.
If Terrace Marshall wasn't there, probably a bit more. But no, I kind of feel like at this point, it's. Aside from Pitts, I don't even get into that.
Yeah.
In terms of opportunity, I feel like Brevin Jordan has the best opportunity from these rookie tight ends so far. Moving forward, I like the idea of Joe Brady, but Tad Moss, he was at LSU. He was just a guy. So I'm not sure Carolina. Yeah, there you go. Tad Moss, he was just.
More than a guy. Tad Moss was more than a guy at LSU.
No, I'm saying Tad Moss. Tad Moss, when he was at LSU, was just a guy with Joe Brady when they all went off. And that guy can barely find a job anywhere. So it's one of those things where, I'm not sure Brady and that whole system. Dan Arnold might be the guy to pivot to if you're looking at a Carolina tight end. Arnold. Yeah, you see what I mean? So Dan Arnold could be that guy that they go to instead, which is crazy to think of.
Ian Thomas is dead. That's what we're getting out of this.
he's not looking good, is he?
Not that was news for most people.
That's not looking. The breakout for Ian Thomas isn't looking good. But I'm just saying, if Dan Arnold there, they've pricked him up, and he can. He does some big plays. He kind of splashes with those plays. Dan Arnold. It's sporadic, but he does them. I kind of feel like I feel like the landing spot with the opportunity for Brevin Jordan is better than most at this point because, he's clearly the biggest option between Brandon Cooks, Randall Cobb, Kiki Kuti, Isaiah Coulter. He's clearly their biggest option. So in terms of like presence, aside from Jordan Akins, I get it, but aside from 1 week a year, who cares? That's not even
the
something
hands.
I'd even
Really,
at.
With Akins, it's the hands, right? He just can't catch the ball. Like if he gets open, he's got the separation, he's got the tools there, but just the drops kind of plague him a little bit. Gerson's right. He wants to go to an exciting position. Well, here's some excitement for you. I've got a. You guys just talking about the Texans. We'll stay there. Just
We have to.
the expectation. We'll quickly talk Tyrod for a bit. Has anyone noticed any Tyrod Taylor trades in their dynasty leagues? I actually completed one myself.
I've been grabbing him everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere.
So what are some of the prices you've been able to get him for? Like just give an example to people.
In terms of like what round I've been getting him in?
So it's in some drafts. Sure,
yes, startups. I'm grabbing him. I don't care. Like I'm talking like every league that these are, they're like super flex, right? So I've been grabbing him everywhere because I've been seeing one guy. I felt so bad, and I put him on the block because I thought I'd bait him. One guy startup super flex. It was the 52 round league, IDP, all that sort of garbage. He grabbed
52 round.
Yeah, 52 rounds, IDP, rookie draft is yet to happen. It's been brutal.
Oh, okay, IDP. I was like going to say,
let me tell you something. The guy grabbed Deshaun Watson, Drew Lock, and then Teddy Bridgewater, and I cried for him. I shed a tear for this guy that drafted those 3 poor quarterbacks. I was just like, that's just unlucky.
Basically, have one now.
Yeah, so I just went out and did the opposite of everyone else. Like I just saw Tyrod sitting there. I was like, I think I'm going to take him just in case.
Yep. No, that's fine.
I'm going to find that out because I know in another startup I grabbed Tyrod, I think round 22. And same deal, super flex league. I just thought, what? I got a couple other quarterbacks, no dramas, but I'm going to grab him just in case because what's the worst thing that happens? Is trade bait and you capitalize on that later? Is that the worst thing that happens?
Or the worst, like Watson comes back and you just cut him. My 22nd pick.
I know, right? But listen, we can work.
I don't think he is coming back, but yes.
We've got Gerson right now. Like Gerson's our go-to for DFS at going for 2. You've got a mobile quarterback who's going to be running for his life with a couple decent pass catches that can break one off. Like this guy's never going to be priced over 6,500 every week, right?
Yeah.
Like when you look at like paying down at DFS, Tyrod Taylor's going to be an option every week. They're going to be playing from behind every week. He's going to be scrambling and he's going to look for those breakaway plays. It's going to happen, and he can rush one in if he wanted to, if he had to. I know he's 31 now, but
we call him Ty God. That's what we call him in DFS. We call him Ty God Taylor because he always wins GPP. So
he's on the money.
Yeah.
Like, why not grab him? And I know, like, I get it. Davis Mills, their first pick. I actually thought Kellen Mond was going there. And he would have picked before. But at this point, like.
One of the crazy things that I like, because I follow Matt Waldman and all his stuff. I love him. Like, I love his tape, study. I mean, I feel like when I watch his YouTube, I lose my mind. And next thing I know, I'm like, holy shit, like, it's 2 hours in. Wow, I need to go to bed, But he likes Mills a lot. So. That shocked me, and I wanted to watch more tape on Mills. Mills is good. Like I see the talent, I see the upside, but I just Nico Collins is a great pick there. Brevin Jordan, I'm not high on him because his athleticism really worries me. He ran like a 4.6, I think, or 4.7, kind of closest. And then I always thought that he's a great player in college, but I don't know if it'll translate to the NFL. But then again, it's the Houston Texans. They're going to be the worst team in the NFL next year for sure. And
Detroit will give him a run.
No, man. Texans, have you seen their roster? They legit, all their free agent players are special team players. It was crazy. I was like, because my buddy, he's a Texan fan, and he goes, oh, cool. We got Nico Collins. We got Mills. We got Brevin Jordan. We're drafting some fantasy players. We're drafting good players. I'm like, yeah, you guys already signed all the special team players in the free agency. You might as well make a fantasy team now. You guys are going on your way out.
Go ahead, Mike.
Chargers just drafted Larry Roundtree out of Missouri.
Ooh, that helps me in the going for 2 DFS draft. I'm Like I'm competing against Andrew Erickson. He was one of my guys, so he might get me. That's 5 points. That might be enough to win it for me. So
Who drafted him?
Chargers.
Oh no,
Austin Eckler. Like, I don't think it's gonna, but it's just another running back off the board.
Yeah.
Also, another running back just went 2 picks before, Gary Brightwell to the Giants. So Dan, I don't know. Yeah, I know it's inconsequential. I actually don't even. He's someone I didn't study.
I'll tell you what.
tape,
in terms of I thought we were going to chase a different running back in the free agency. Obviously, the Giants grabbed Devon.
to drive Jamar. Who's the other running back they drafted? What are the running back?
And it always happens right when he's trying to make a good
It's unbelievable. But I'll tell you what. So just where I was, I think with Saquon, you're hoping he comes back healthy. You're hoping he comes back strong. Devonta Booker was an insurance policy. I thought maybe we'd grab someone a little bit. What is it? The 6th round? Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I saw someone like was it Gareth Dokes was attached to the Giants and that sort of whatever. Like we need the depth because we really just had. I think, to be fair, one of our best wins last year was on the road at Seattle, and Alfred Morris absolutely tore them apart. Like Alfred Morris destroyed the Seattle Seahawks in week 12 last year. We beat them on the road with Colt McCoy and Alfred Morris. So, whatever. I mean, the Giants, I don't think have addressed their O-line this draft, which is something, I think a lot of people thought, especially after we traded back, that might have happened. But it seems like they're neglecting that, and they like who they have. And they grabbed someone from Houston as well. I forget what his name is, and he seemed all right. Although they let Zeke walk to Baltimore. Look, they need the depth. The Giants need running back depth. Deion Lewis isn't that guy. Devonta Booker can play a role if Saquon isn't ready to go week 1. And I'm sure, the way that they've addressed the draft, and Gary Brightwell, congratulations. Welcome to Big Blue. Dan, I'm sure their confidence in Saquon must be there.
So Dan, you're so inspiring to me. I'm going to leave you in charge of the stream for a few minutes. You're host now. Responsibility is bestowed upon you, so do a good job. I will be right back.
All right. So Carl's gone. Who's Gary Brightwell? I have no idea who this guy is.
All I know is that he's from Arizona. That's all I know.
There we go. So that's great. Look, there's a lot of teams that have a lot of needs in sort of who was it? Who just went to San Fran? We just saw one drop off there, right? Elijah Mitchell. So
Elijah Mitchell.
I mean, I think Elijah Mitchell is a guy that we could say might have been a better option if he had fallen a little bit more. Listen, not even Jamar Jefferson fell, right?
No, he's still there.
So Jamar Jefferson, Kyler Hill, Javian Hawkins, I still think isn't off the board. Stevie Scott's still available, and Khalil Herbert. So there's a lot of guys that are out there that are okay running backs that are still available.
I think any running back that gets taken right now is not going to have.
It could also very well be that these guys are saying, maybe as a UDFA, it might be better financially to grab these guys at that back end as well. With James Robinson, obviously with what happened to him last year, Philip Lindsay too. Maybe these guys say, hey, you know what? If you're a free agent, we've got our eye on you, and we'd like to sign you off that back end too. So, Gary Brightwell could be very much a guy they draft now and cut during camp. I could see that happening too, but the Giants' depth at that position was just absolutely shot.
Well, Brightwell's not a really good player. He fumbled 5 times last year and doesn't really run very well either. So that kind of surprised me. I was like, huh. And they signed Devontae Booker.
Booker's fine.
I don't think he's bad. He's a good replacement.
Again, Booker's a guy that can fill a role for a week or two. Yeah. I thought when they signed Booker in free agency, I looked at it and went, maybe it'll take a week or two for Saquon to work in and get the hits on his legs and make sure he's fine and good to go. But again, if you saw me through the start of the season last year, if I can, when I saw the Giants start to the season, it was Pittsburgh, Chicago, San Fran. It was like a murderer's row of run defense. So maybe Saquon can sit the year out. There's no need. Let's not worry about him for a year, and we'll go from there. But talk about bounce back candidates. I've seen Saquon fall relatively far enough to go, wow, I'll take him here. I've seen him fall enough in a couple startups, and I've been slightly concerned about. But is
there a guy that you guys absolutely moved up for you in fantasy, shot up?
In startups at the moment?
No, dynasty. I'm talking dynasty strictly. because I'm looking at Kyle's spreadsheet, and like the thing that really shocked me was what's his name, Rondell Moore going to the Cardinals in the second round. I didn't see. I thought he was just dropping. Maybe it was because of his height, but I mean, the crazy thing was Tutu Atwell in the second round to the Rams. What the hell?
I'll tell you what. If I can, Anthony Schwartz for me. Anthony Schwartz for me is a guy that shot up. I've grabbed him in a couple of places already, in a startup or two already. That speed is scary. It's scary. Yeah, you're not catching him. He breaks away, he's gone. So for me, a guy like Anthony Schwartz is something in terms of like who's shot up, and he went third round or something like that.
Yeah, third round, 91st overall. I just a player that I don't want no part of is Tutu Atwell, that's for sure. But Rondell Moore with the Cardinals, that really interests me because they pass the ball so much, and I think they'll use them in so many different ways. I'm not a Kadarius Toney guy, so I'll pass on him. I did not get that pick because you guys had signed John Ross. You guys have
Dante Pettis. It's happening. The breakup.
Clayton and Kenny G, and I'm missing one player. I know that, but
Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, so let me tell you something. From a pure Giants standpoint, I think I mentioned this at the start. This isn't. I would be trying to get Darius Slayton because I don't think his role changes now because he was never an X receiver. They asked him to play outside, I think, of what he is capable of. Kenny Golladay is going to be the man.
Oh, yeah.
Slayton's going to be that burner. And again, I still feel like, look, I love Sterling Shepard. I think every Giants fan does. That's not a thing. But if you have to play guys in line, who would you want? Someone more explosive? You've already got Evan Ingram there. Sterling Shepard's not going to move the needle for the Giants. Like, I think he's great. He's safe. He's going to catch everything thrown his way. He's still a red zone guy, but Toney is going to burn people in the middle of the field. And again, like, I'm not burning an early pick on Toney. I don't think anyone here is. But in terms of opportunity, I think he's going to work his way in pretty quickly. My fear is that Jason Garrett's going to turn him into Tavon Austin. That's the fear that I have. They're going to do all these gadget plays, jet sweeps. They're going to do all these gadget things, hope that he pops one off in the special teams and all that sort of stuff. That's the fear, that Garrett's going to turn him into Tavon Austin. For me, I can see it coming. But, you know, I also think that, like, if there's someone in your league that has Slayton that's a little nervous because of Toney, that's the person I'm probably in the Giants trying to go and get as well. Because Golladay, you've probably priced yourself out from, but Shepard at this point, he might have a year left on his contract. The guy's not exactly burning people down the seam, but like he's not the fastest guy. They're trying to change this team to be explosive. And if they haven't picked up on their O-line, they're hoping that their weapons kind of take that pressure off. You can't stack a box with Golladay now, and you've got Toney. You can't do that with Barkley. And if not, Jones is going to tuck it and run. You've seen what he could do in 2020. So Toney's only going to help that. So how much pressure you can put on the Giants front five is another thing, especially seeing as they haven't really addressed it the past day or two. I don't know.
Just because I'm so self-obsessed, I'm going to turn this to my teams, but just kind of like thinking of someone who has Slayton. It's a contract salary league. Slayton has like it's a $6 million contract on a the cap follows whatever the NFL cap is. So it's $186 million cap. If I cut him, save half of it, only year left, so there's nothing beyond that. I'm kind of thinking like, he's not necessarily going to be a starter for me. Thinking of cutting him just to save the $3 million, add it towards, in that particular free agency pool, Antonio Gibson's like the only guy worth going after. So I'm trying to save every penny I can to just max value on him. So part of me's thinking that's an easy way to save money, but maybe I'll, with the way you're kind of explaining it.
If we could go get Antonio Gibson, don't let fear hold you back, Kyle.
Obviously, that's not like just saying I cut Slayton, I've got him. But
I just think in terms of a role, I think the Giants were asking Slayton to do more than not that he's not capable. I just think they were asking him to do too much. Some of like his logs last year, like he was getting targeted frequently and a lot. It's just how they were using him. It's just not what he's great at. You want Slayton to go burn guys, and he can. I don't want him doing these 10-yard like comeback routes. I don't want that at all. I don't want that from Slayton. I want him like to go. And I think a guy like Tony and Golladay will free him up to do it. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to give you any more than what he did a year or two ago. But I'm saying that I would be more worried for someone who has Sterling Shepard than I would be for someone. You could cut Slayton and sleep well. But if you have Shepard, what are you doing with him now? Knowing that Tony's going to move more in line.
And his value was already low before, so it's not like he's got much trade value. He's almost one of those players where it's like he's in that, like usually the receivers that are 29-30 where their value doesn't meet the production, and Steppers might already be there. So
Shepard's going to get you 12 to 14 points a game. Cool, great, no worries. 60 points, 7 receptions, 60 yards, 7 receptions, whatever. That's it. He's not giving you any more. That's it, and I think that's kind of it for him. And you know, again, like Tony's going to be the fast new toy. And again, unless we're talking about like he could be Tavon Austin as well, and Jason Garrett's more than capable of turning him into that. And that's the fear for me for Tony, dropping a first-round pick and a guy that's not going to give you more than that. But again, like Slayton, you can cut, especially in like whatever league you want. If you want, get rid of him. So what? Right? Because there's lots of guys like Slayton out there. You're going to find plenty of them out there. That's not go get Demarcus Robinson if you're missing, you know, Darius Slayton. Go get him.
Yeah.
Go get him. Who cares?
When he's like 6 times the minimum price, it feels like, I could get that. I could get a minimum price player for what 2 or 3 for that production.
Again, like if you ask me as a Giants person, who would you be more worried about? It's Sterling Shepard. That's it for me.
But obviously, in leagues where it's not salary and contract related, he's got value. He holds value. It might be a good time to buy low. In fact,
maybe you could. Yeah, sure. I mean, I have Slayton. I thought about getting rid of him. I was like, I don't think it hurts him. Like it hurts him, but it doesn't.
Yeah. You almost prefer to just hold him, and if he produces in the season, it'd be the time to sell him. Now is probably not the time to sell Slayton because you're never going to recoup any.
You're never going to get anything back from him.
Not that he was a huge investment anyway. I think that's the one thing with Slayton. He's never been a massive investment, at least initially. Obviously, if you bought him over the last couple of years, it's a bit higher of a price, but still nothing too major.
As bad as this sounds, there's only one player in a Giant I want to go buy. That's Daniel Jones.
Absolutely.
I think Daniel Jones, with his rushing upside, everybody uses the Konami code thing, but usually if a quarterback has 400 rushing yards, they're usually in the top 12, top 10 quarterback. And in sleeper flex leagues, I would go try to buy low on Daniel Jones right now. I mean, people are probably going to say, "Oh, well, you just got Kenny G, you got this." I'm like, yeah, but are you really in love with this guy?
And he's priced down now because he doesn't have much long-term stability. I mean, everyone just saw in the city of New York itself, even though they're in New Jersey, the Jets cut Darnold after year 3 or traded away Darnold after year 3. I mean, if Daniel Jones falters, there's a narrative that they get rid of him, right? So he has no stability, so he's cheaper because of that.
I can tell you now that there was a big difference with how both quarterbacks were received in New York. Now, the shock of Jones was because of Haskins and how early everyone thought that Jones could fall to pick 17 and all that sort of stuff. Fine, whatever. But I don't think anyone in New York was ever sold on Sam Darnold. And that's the problem that he had here. Now, they only feel sold on him now, or upset because he's gone. And everyone's like, oh, okay, well, he got you through the Adam Gase period. And now you've got probably, maybe, like you've seen what Darnold can be there. Maybe he'll be better. I don't know. But do you want to find out, or would you rather try something else with a whole new regime? Mm-hmm. Probably the latter, right? Jones kind of, after he took over from Eli, that first game against Tampa when he went bananas, everyone went, okay, he's not that bad. Because no one knew what was going to come from him when he came from Duke. No one saw what he was going to do. And obviously Kyler Murray blew up and made everything worse. But, you know, what the issue for Jones was turnovers, right?
Yeah, fumbles especially.
Fumbles and turnovers. Like he really killed that last year. That ended. It was safe. It was relatively safe in that regard. And, you know, like Giants fans will tell you, Daniel Jones is one of the best deep ball passers in the league.
I heard that last night when I was trying to.
And that's like Giants fans know this. They already know the positives, right? But like you got Golladay, you got Kyle Rudolph. We had no red zone presence. You get Barkley back, and now Tony who can burn. All things that play to his strengths. I hate the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. Oh, well, they got Stephon Diggs. So no, it's not about that. There's too many other players in the Giants for that to kind of be so centric. But I don't know. I don't think Jones is the guy that you want to go get because he's going to benefit the most from all of this, especially with the healthy Saquon Barkley.
So it sounds like you're making the bet on he doesn't yet have that stability. At least not the market's not perceiving it that way. So buy in at that price before he has a great season, and then suddenly he's maybe a top 10, top 12 quarterback.
I agree with Gerson on this. I think he's the guy over there that you want to go buy.
All right, Mike, you want to talk about Jones or the Giants?
No.
All I have to do is all I need to do about the Giants is echo their sentiments because I have Daniel Jones on 3 rosters.
Yeah, that's cool too. Like, how many quarterbacks this year that out there that are you expecting to take
a big jump to next year? I expect, maybe 2, 3 quarterbacks. I would say, it depends how good they're doing. That's how many quarterbacks I expect to take a jump.
2 or 3. You're saying?
Yeah, 4. Yeah. So what? So we're saying maybe Joe Barrow. We want to see something big from him.
Oh man, I tried my best, man. I tried to figure out what you're gonna say when you cut out, but
what'd you say? No, I agree. So he said 2.
He said 2 or 3. So he's thinking, Jones, Barrow.
No, 100%. So like, who do you think?
Tua. You're coming off the injury.
Burrow.
Yeah.
Like who else? Like maybe. I mean, with how the draft
Drew Lock has to.
I was about to say
he has to. I don't know that he will, but he definitely has to if he wants to be the quarterback.
There's not a whole lot of the quarterbacks that aren't rookies coming through that can make that big leap. And if anyone in your league is concerned about Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, they're the guys you want to go get.
Well, I think Jalen Hurts is going to break out.
There's another one. Bingo. Yeah, so there's your 4 or 5 right there.
And again, mostly guys drafted last year too in that group.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow. Again, he's going to go break out because now he got more weapons. Jamar Chase, Higgins, Mixon will be healthy. That line didn't improve a lot, but it got, I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it.
They are getting guys they didn't have last year in terms of injury and health, so that's...
Wait, they also picked up Quinton Spain after he got cut by the Bills, right?
Yeah.
And he's really good, and they just picked him up off waivers.
I mean,
so he's a guy... And he wasn't there when Barrow was playing, so that's a big get too.
That's the thing. Stafford, he's going to go up into the top 12, that's for sure, with that Rams offense. I mean, there's a lot of players that can go up, but those are the 3 guys I'd probably say, are going to move up. But I don't know. I don't have that much confidence in Tua being all the way up there, to be honest with you. I think he still has things to work on. So, but if he does, I could be wrong, but –
speaking of the Bills,
but that sentiment is why we go and buy him, right? Because if Gerson's thinking that, people who have him are probably thinking the exact same thing.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, no, go ahead, Kyle, because I think you're going to say something about a new pick, right, Kyle?
Yeah, the Bills just taking wide receiver Marquez Stevenson. And right before that, the Bengals, funny we're talking about teams, Bengals taking running back Chris Evans.
And just now, Carolina just took Shi Smith out of South Carolina.
Ooh, wide receiver there too. So yeah, some bit of fantasy activity here in the 6th round.
When Kyle and Hale gets
also, we'll go back to the Giants real quick. Rodarius Williams, a cornerback in the 6th round. Okay, all right. Quick thoughts. Okay, very quick.
Listen, they grabbed the kid from where was it? From UCF yesterday. Darnay Holmes was an incredible pick last year. I'll say that at cornerback. We got him from UCLA. He stepped in, played nickel really well. We grabbed Adoree Jackson. Logan Ryan is still pretty damn good. James Bradbury was nearly untouchable last year. So in terms of cornerback, I feel like we're okay. And they drafted a bunch of guys in the 6th, 7th round last year, I feel like cornerbacks, and they dropped him. Except for DeAndre Baker. Damn it. Let's come back.
Still the greatest podcast episode I ever listened to.
Yeah, that was fun.
Get back on track.
It was fun to listen to.
Yeah.
Get back to the wide receivers, the rookie wide receivers. I know I put a tweet out the other day, and I know Kyle said something, so I want to get your opinion, Kyle. You know what this is going to be. I do not like Bateman going to Baltimore at all.
Yeah.
Blasphemy!
I think I don't think it's any worse than like Kadarius Toney with the Giants, certainly, but or even like Waddle to the Dolphins it's a decent spot, but it's not a great spot, I don't think. And I feel like
Waddle.
I love it for Waddle, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm less excited, but okay, but we'll take Waddle aside. But like, Smith going to the Eagles, it's a nice depth chart to rise to. But again, Hurts is a quarterback. Like the quality of passes he's getting, there's some concern there. So I see Bateman as easily one of the top 4 receivers in this class. Like I've got him right there with Smith. I'm back and forth as to who as much as I'm not crazy about the Dolphins landing spot. I accept Waddle's talent, how high they took him. I feel like he's got to be my number 2 there. And I guess we'll get to rankings in a bit, but I think I probably have Bateman 3. So I guess we're getting to rankings now. But those are the thoughts there. Because I mean, Jackson, I think I mentioned this before. Great passer over the middle, not so much to the sides. So if Waddle comes in as a slot receiver, I really like that for him because that's where he'll probably get the higher quality of passes. And I think at that point, he's really only competing with Mark Andrews because if he is the slot guy, I think he'll be looked at far more often than Brown. So I said Waddle, I meant Bateman, because that's will he be in the slot? Will he not? I think that's a big question. I think it's a huge advantage if he does, though.
He's capable of doing both, right? He can play inside and out.
Will they put Tylan Wallace at slot or no?
That's true too. I guess that does complicate the later pick of Tylan Wallace. But and I mean, to be fair, the Ravens have done that before. Hayden Hurst, Mark Andrews, tight end, and it was the guy they took second. That was the guy. But what round was Wallace taken in 4th? So I mean, Andrews was a 3rd round pick. So enough of a difference.
Again, like while we're looking at that, is this a time when we're going to pivot away from Bateman because of what he can be? Does anyone still believe in? Does anyone believe in Devin Duvernay?
No, he's just a special team player. I mean,
there we go. I was just going to say because we're talking about, that might be a guy who might work in as well.
Devin Duvernay last year got drafted based off his athleticism. He did. His combine number. The other thing is I want to talk about is I am getting a big vibe, feeling about Bateman, reminding me of how everybody felt about AJ Brown.
Okay.
Yes. Hard.
Yes. Okay. Yes. We're not excited about Lamar Jackson, what we've seen about him on the outside, but we haven't seen him get a wide receiver as good as Bateman on the outside. Now he got that wide receiver. What if Bateman dropped in the draft because I don't like him. He went to Lamar Jackson. He can't throw the ball. He's not accurate. He just has a bad arm. He's a running quarterback. The Ravens run the ball. Okay. Same concept for the Titans when AJ Brown went there. They run the ball. Tannehill's not good. You saw him with the Dolphins. He sucked.
Even then, Tannehill wasn't even the quarterback, right? Like at least there was a quarterback change too. It was Mariota, and I mean Brown didn't get 1st round draft capital. Bateman did, so that's got to count too. I think. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to take any of the non-1st round wide receivers ahead of him. I'd have him ahead of Kadarius Toney. So again, 4th easy. At worst for me.
Marquise Brown was killing him last year. Marquise Brown was killing Lamar Jackson last year. He was dropping everything. He was brutal to watch. And again, we touched on Darius Slayton before. You're asking Marquise Brown to be something he's not enough. Bateman and Watkins can be that. They can chip in enough to be better, but Brown ain't that guy. He just isn't.
Brown's good. I just think
he's good, but they're asking him to play a role. He's
not being utilized correctly. He dropped the ball way too much. And another problem with Brown is that he tries too hard. That's the thing. I've watched games where they just jam him over and over and over because he doesn't even know what he's going to do off the ball. It's dude, make up your mind, But I just think with Tylan Wallace, Marquise Brown, and Bateman, that's going to bring – and one of the players that I called because everybody's been saying who are the winners, who are the losers. Lamar Jackson's a winner.
Yes.
I mean, next year the offense is going to be legit. I mean, you get J.K. Dobbins now as a starting running back. I love J.K. Dobbins. So you get those 3 wide receivers, and you get a healthy Mark Andrews and I think last year COVID really got to Mark Andrews. I know a lot of people say, he was probably worried about getting it or something. Now that the vaccine came out, maybe he's a little bit more, less
Well,
flustered.
he did get it, right? They did spend time on the COVID list. Not sure if he actually contracted it, but I thought he was.
He did.
Oh, he did. So, I mean, think about it. As a guy that has type 2 diabetes or something like that.
Yeah. That was in the glorious time when me and Kyle were doing Monday Night War Rooms on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. Brutal. That was interesting. Hopefully we don't have to repeat that again this year, but definitely tune into the Monday Night War Rooms and all the War Rooms on Thursday and Sunday night as well. Definitely check all those out. So another wide receiver taken. So 3 in a row. Marquise Stevenson to the Bills, Shi Smith to the Panthers as mentioned, and then Racey McMath to the Titans. Now, he's someone who might get elevated because of that landing spot. I know that was a landing spot everyone was kind of coveting, and the Titans haven't addressed it until now. Or no, they did actually. 4th round, sorry, Des Fitzpatrick. Actually, maybe that's something we should do right now. Go through some rookie wide receivers. I know Gladys mentioned one, but go ahead, Dan.
Speaking of receivers to go grab low, I've been getting Josh Reynolds everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
I find that hard. That's another one. Like
slot wide receiver.
I know. I kind of found that was an easy one to go get. Like, we're hoping these rookies that they pick up in the 6th round do something, but they went out and they just got Josh Reynolds.
Yep.
What are your wide receivers like? Let's talk about wide receivers because I think that's the hardest position. For running back, it's easy for me because I see opportunities, I see landing spots, and I see draft capital. Those 3 things in running back, I can almost predict it correctly. Wide receiver is where it's a little bit throwing me off. I have.
Can we just? I'm just going to quickly run through all the receivers taken just today, and I know Gladys has mentioned one. So it was the 2nd receiver taken today. So I've already mentioned Des Fitzpatrick, 109th to the Titans. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 112th to the Lions. Jalen Drayden, 129th to the Buccaneers. Tylan Wallace we've mentioned to the Ravens, and then Jacob Harris in the 4th round, 141st to the Rams. And then a couple guys in the 5th, and here in the 6th round, we've had a few as well. Amir Smith-Marset to the Vikings, Simi Fenko to the Cowboys, Cornell Powell mentioned to the Chiefs. We've had the 3 receivers in the 6th round mentioned, Stevenson, Smith, and McMath, Bills, Panthers, Titans, respectively. Also, the Falcons did make a receiver in selection early in the 6th round, 187th overall, Frank Darby. So those are the receivers today. Gladys mentioning Amon-Ra St. Brown. Do we want to just start there with him and give our thoughts on his selection, his opportunity?
Yeah.
I got 3 words. I love it.
Yeah. I talked to Nate William, True North. He said he couldn't believe it. He's excited. He wrote him up in his article. He said that he's still he's freaking out. And I was like, dude, are you kidding me? You got in the 4th round, is it? Yeah.
4th round.
In the 4th round, you got a guy that was graded out to be a 2nd rounder, 3rd rounder. And I don't know what went wrong with him. Like, I watched him, I liked him, and guess what? In the 4th round, 5th round, even over all these guys, he had the best landing spot. You go to the Lion. I mean, if you can name me the wide receivers aside Quentin Cephas, that's there.
Oh,
I've had to learn them.
I know they have. They got Brashad Perryman and Tyrell Williams.
You guys are okay. You guys are smart, but like a normal.
To be honest, I kept forgetting about Perryman. Someone mentioned on another show the other day. I totally escaped my mind. Now I know it, but yeah, it's. I
would have loved it more if Nico Collins had stayed in Michigan with the Lions. I think that would have been the pick. I think they might have got pipped by the Texans there. I kind of feel like Collins might have been on the Lions.
So just quickly looking, I actually think I like for fantasy Amon-Ra St. Brown more than any of the 3rd round receivers, and even most of the 2nd round guys. Like Elijah Moore, 34th overall. Like that kind of investment by the Jets, it's serious, and even Rondale to the Cardinals. But
I don't know, man. I think De'Ami Brown in Washington's a pretty solid spot to be in.
True. Yeah, that's good. That is a good point. That might be one of the ones. I was definitely high on him before.
And again, I still go back to Anthony Schwartz as well. I mean, it might take him a while with Beckham there. But
that's the thing, though. That's going to take him a while. I mean,
it might take him a year or 2 to move off from Beckham.
I still think Donovan People-Jones is a thing there. So I think the thing is, like, I'm looking at your list, Yeah, you're right. Maybe Amari Rogers, but even then, he's not he's competing for more targets. Amon St. Brown's not competing for that many targets like Amari Rogers. And then maybe Terrace Marshall, he's competing for target. Tutu Atwell, he's competing for target. Wayne Eskridge, he got 2 freaking wide receivers that are top 24. Rondell Moore, he has like 3 wide receivers. Holy, like that. I mean, he could jump all those guys. But the thing is, in Dynasty, we have to look at it the long way, right? The long distance way. And Jared Goff is the quarterback. That's why I have to break it up, guys.
Yeah, that is true.
I just made a bet with one of my friends. I said a 12-pack of IPA, fuck it, And he goes, all right, he said, I know you guys are going to laugh at it. He said that he thinks Monra St. Brown is going to be a top 24 wide receiver for just the season. So I was like, I don't know, man. There's a lot this year. I mean, if you go look at your wide receiver list, it's deep. And I know he can get the target and everything, but Jared Goff is the quarterback. I don't even know the backup quarterback, to be honest.
It's David Blau still.
I think they signed Tim Boyle, which is I'm glad he's no longer in the Packers because now they can have Jordan Love as the backup, hopefully.
You mean the starter?
Hopefully not yet.
And
Gladys is speaking more for redraft. So like the love of St. Brown, I think for redraft, I think probably does jump almost everyone, maybe even Elijah Moore. And she's wondering, does he play in the slot? Because that seems to be, she's saying Goff's sweet spot is the slot. We, saw with Cooper Kupp especially. Is that a position we see for him? But I'm trying to think of who would be the designated slot receiver there. I'm not sure if Cephas has done much of that in college. It might be St. Brown actually.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be St. Brown personally.
Yeah, if it's for redraft, I think there's only 3 wide receivers I would take, which is Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith. And then I think, that makes sense. Amon St. Brown stepping in. Yeah, he'd be in the redraft, draft that I would probably draft. But I don't really see another guy that I really want to take. I mean, maybe if we're like what? We're still doing the draft, so I'm not like fully know exactly where to value all the guys.
Yeah, that's true too. We're still waiting. Oh, and another receiver just coming in from the Jaguars, Jalen Camp out of Georgia Tech. So one more receiver to the list. Quite a few here in this in the 6th round here.
Man, this is crazy. There's a lot of.
And another weapon to Jacksonville.
The Jaguars, did they forget to have to improve their defense, or what? I mean, what's their plan?
Who needs a defense? Who needs a defense when you got Tim Tebow playing tight end for you?
Can we maybe circle back to the Travis Etienne comments? Maybe Urban Meyer is looking at this and is like, Etienne is just going to play passing downs. We're going to throw the ball 650 times, so almost everything's going to be a passing down. Like that might be like a backwards way of saying he's a workhorse in the sense that like he's going to monopolize a bunch of passing down targets, so they don't want to waste him giving him too many carries. Maybe like they're going to be passing the whole time, so throw him out there as a receiver every time. Maybe that's something like that, which would certainly boost Etienne's value if he's getting like 60, 70, 80 targets, even if he only gets maybe 150 carries. That's pretty good efficiency for fantasy.
If that happens, I'm drafting Trevor Lawrence everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just I just think Travis Etienne, his talent is so good. Like it's just I don't see why you would waste a 1st round pick and then put the workload that much. If he got drafted in like the 3rd, which he would never, but if they drafted a running back in the 3rd and James Robinson was there, like let's say who's the 3rd round running back that got drafted? So Trey Sermon. Let's say Sermon went to the Jaguars, I'd be like, all right, I'm not worried about him. James Robinson proved it last year. I think he's going to get the workload though. But when you have a running back that been top 10, top last year, he was probably top 5.
At points, yeah, he was.
Yeah, I mean, this year 1, 2, 3, I'd be worried,
All right. So, Gerson, you think you mentioned just wanting to talk about wide receivers. So, looking at this list, is there anything kind of in particular you want to talk about? Do you want to get into rankings now with these receivers?
Yeah, let's get into rankings. let's get into ranking.
Okay, so okay, let's. We want to do what each person gives their top 5, and then we just kind of compare at the end.
Yeah, let's just compare it. I already have mine, so.
All right, so are we good for top 5? Do we want to expand to top 10? Like, how are we feeling? That'd be a little improvisation on my part there, but what do you guys want to do? And maybe listeners, what do the listeners want to hear? If listeners have any suggestions, also feel free. But what do you guys want?
I think we should do. Well, top 5 pretty easy though. Like at least top 3 right away.
What if we do something like top 5 and then our like someone that we just like outside our guy outside the top 5?
A wild card. So
right.
And it could be Amon St. Brown too. It can be anybody up. Just do top 5 and then a wild card, and then we can all just come back and just say why did you what? Mm-hmm. Why did you say Chief Smith is the best wide receiver in the draft? Just stuff like that.
No one wants Tutu Atwell at number 2. Anyway, who wants to start?
I'll start it.
All right, go ahead, Gur.
Number 1, Jamar Chase, hands down, and he's in his own tier. It's not even close. Number 2 is, to me, Jalen Waddle. Number 3, Devontae Smith. Number 4 is Rashad Bateman. I'm sorry, everybody. I love the guy. I think his talent is great. Number 5, and I know people judge him on his size, but I don't care. I see the talent. I see the upside. Is Rondale Moore. After that, I think the wild card in all of this is, for me, is Nico Collins. He's going to get the target. He's going to get the opportunity there. And this guy is just a freak. Like his arm length is long. His body is big. He has that stature that I always look for in wide receivers. And, last year, there was nothing there, obviously. But it's just Nico Collins. He fits that kind of wide receiver I look for in sleeper wide receiver for Dynasty, And he landed in a great opportunity spot. Not saying that he's going to have a great quarterback or anything like that, but opportunity and usage. But, yeah, that's my wild card.
All right, Dan, you're up next. We'll go around the horn.
So I am at Chase at 1. I have also got Waddle at 2. I think when you look at it, I think Parker and Will Fuller off contract next year, and it sounds like Gesicki will be 2. So I kind of find it hard to argue with a guy paired up with his college quarterback. With 3, I still have Bateman. That opportunity is too great to drop him down any further. 4 is Devonta Smith for the same reasons. And at 5, I feel like he's gone under the radar a bit. Second round pick for the Jets, Elijah Moore. I'm not a massive fan of Elijah Moore, really. I'm not. I kind of had him a little bit further down. I had him about 8 or 9, but they came up and got their guy, right? So I feel like that's the guy that we're going to be talking about in that. He came from nowhere. No, he didn't. He was a second-round pick by the Jets, and he's the first player that they drafted for their franchise quarterback. So I feel like that's kind of like breadcrumbs, right? We talk about Hansel and Gretel. They left breadcrumbs to get their way out of the woods. They're telling you that this is a guy that we have paired up with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to drop because we're going to look at Terrace Marshall, because I love Terrace Marshall. He was my number 3 prior to how – and I still have him fairly high. I love Terrace Marshall, but I look at that opportunity there for a guy like that. It's just, how do you ignore that? What's he not going to beat up? Jamison Crowder, Damsel Mims is fine. Corey Davis.
And I mean, Crowder might even be a cut this year, like that.
He could, and that's a thing. Like, he's going to walk straight into a role. I think Zach Wilson. I think it's there for the taking.
That contract, Crowder needs to get cut. Holy crap!
Yeah, and they might be waiting for, what was it, like June 20 cuts or whatever it may be, whatever it is.
Post June 1st. And they might also wanted to see
cuts or whatever it may be, and who was there, and they held on to him for that. But
which receiver they drafted to. Maybe they're really happy with Elijah Moore, and they can go, okay, yeah, we feel that.
I like Rondale Moore and his landing spot, Terrace Marshall too. I had De'Ami Brown super high, and I kind of feel like he's another guy we're going to sleep on too. De'Ami Brown in Washington. I feel like their receiver chart, depth chart is just absolutely garbage. Aside from McLaurin and maybe Curtis Samuel, Jeremy Brown could be walking into a massive workload, and we don't even look at it because it's Washington.
Yeah.
That's true.
Felton got drafted to the Browns.
So, who?
Yep.
Oh yeah, Demarcus Felton
Demarcus
as
Felton.
a wide receiver. So
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
interesting there.
And I
He's not
love
going to be a
Demarcus
running back
Felton.
there, is he? He's not going to be a running back. He's not going to outwork Chubb and Hunt. What's he gonna? He may as well be a receiver in Cleveland. He's got nothing else to do. What's he going to do then?
Mike, what are your wide receivers?
So my wide receivers, number 1, just like everyone, Chase. 2, Jalen Waddle. I love Jalen Waddle. I had him at number 2 before the draft. Nothing that happened put him lower than number 2. Did I think he was going to go to Miami? No. But nothing happened that was going to put him at lower than 2. I agree. Devontae Smith should be number 3. 4, I have Moore from Purdue going at he's my number 4. I do agree with Gerson about the size, that people are down on him because of size, but I don't care. 5, I have Bateman. Before the draft, I had 4 Bateman, but I'm moving Bateman to 5 for now. I agree with a bunch of the wild cards that have been brought up, but to throw another one out there, I'm going to throw Marshall out there just because of his landing spot as a wild card.
Yeah,
I love
right.
Marshall. I love Marshall, but because of his landing spot, I'm going to put him as a wild card and not as like a number 5 or a 6.
That's a good point.
I like it.
Sorry, am I hearing this right? Did no one have Kadarius Toney in the top 5 the first
You
round?
don't want him in the top 5, mate.
Well, and that's interesting, right? He got the first round capital, and I don't have him either. But I might actually right off the bat call him as my maybe sleeper guy because I mean he does have the capital there. Again, do we think Shepard's gone next year? Does he step it?
We need to edit that part out, everybody, please. So when podcast done, just edit that part out.
Carl's trying to make fetch happen. There we go.
I don't want
Okay.
him being ruined.
Stop being mean, guys. So
I'm just kidding, Kyle. Yeah, I see that. That's definitely a wild card right there. But no, I'm kidding.
but it is funny, and I am agreeing. But the fact that we are just got the 20th overall, but we're just passing him up so easily. But similar to what you were saying, Dan, with Elijah Moore, right? It could be that kind of same symptom, both in New York. Funny.
All right, let's talk about the Giants a little bit more. All right, we're coming.
But anyway, so yeah, my top 5 pretty similar. Jamar Chase at 1, Jalen Waddle 2, Rashad Bateman 3, Devontae Smith 4. At 5. Actually, you didn't have him at 5, Mike, but I think you had him as your next guy. But I actually do have Marshall at 5. It's a spot where the Panthers, even though he'll be the 3rd wide receiver, it's such a condensed offense. Like they really only pass it to 4 different guys, and maybe if Tommy Tremble comes in, that he's the 5th. But 4th on that team might still get 80, 90 targets as a rookie. So I still like Marshall there as at 5. And then, wild card Kadarius Toney. If I had to pick one more, it probably would actually be Amon-Ra St. Brown just because of that opportunity in Detroit, even though bypassed all the 3rd round right to the 4th there.
Yeah.
And I'll be the Packers fan. I like Amari Rodgers. I think it's a decent landing spot. He'll get probably really good opportunity next year when the wide receiver depth chart in Green Bay looks – well, right now he's the only one on it. So, but yeah, he could play in the slot this year. So it's a decent landing spot with a good quarterback, at least for now.
I think Mike's guy – Nico Collins. I think that was a hard one for me. I was looking at wild cards. I was like, man, but Houston could be so bad.
Yeah.
Like he's going to have to throw him out there. Like
I was thinking more like someone I'm going to draft in the 3rd round of a rookie draft, or maybe late 2nd round. Like all those guys, I'm pretty sure they're going to go top 14, maybe in a 1 quarterback league.
To Dan's credit, if Diami Brown is in the 3rd round, that's pretty good. Sorry, Mike.
No, you're good. The only thing I want to say about Toney is I might be bold on this. I did not like Toney from the beginning. If I had to chart it out right now, right after, like Gerson said earlier, we're still going through the draft and everything's still fluid. I don't know if I have Toney in my top 10.
Yeah. I almost want to agree with you because we have to look at this. Like, let's talk about Toney for a second. All right, think about him as a player, where he landed and everything, right? But now let's talk about the wide receivers we're looking at. Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Rashad Bateman, Rondale Moore,
Elijah Moore,
Terrace Marshall, I would even consider Amari Rodgers over Kadarius Toney because he has an MVP quarterback.
Amon St. Brown with that opportunity, or
I'm taking St. Brown and Diami Brown over him.
Yeah, so we got that's 10 already.
he would be 11th there, yeah. And to be honest, I think in some cases those players were in some circles being ranked ahead of Toney anyway. So I don't think that's overly bold, Mike. I know there were definitely some opinions. I know Jay Felicio, we got a live reaction from him when they took Toney, and he was not having it at all. Actually, yeah, you were there for that. Like, I mean, that was fun to witness.
Listen, he serves their purpose. That's the problem. Like, is he not? Is he the best? Do you want Rondale Moore returning punts and kicks? Do you want Terrace Marshall returning punts and kicks? I know it sounds stupid because those guys should get the 5th round, but like he absolutely serves a purpose for them.
I just think
everything they've done. Like the Giants, forget the whole Eli Manning Giants.
We'll forget it all. Okay, thanks, Dan.
Yeah,
Forget it all, Dan.
Everybody, just remember, forget about Eli Manning. He never won us a Super Bowl.
But listen, the whole thing with the Giants is the way that Gettleman has brought this group together with Joe Judge. Like I'm telling you now, like they've absolutely revamped this whole team. They know what they're.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Like
it's a good.
Joe Judge is unfortunate not to have been one of the best coaches. Like what he has done to that franchise is ridiculous. They have specific purpose over what.
I don't know what you're talking about. Gettleman did all this, not him.
No, but Judge, the way that team operates for Judge is a completely different being.
No,
because
Judge,
if you had been a Giants fan with Ben McAdoo and Pat Shermer, like everyone was like, "What are we even?" Like they love every one of these Giants fans. I'm telling you, love Joe Judge. We haven't had that sort of a collective thought in forever. It feels like.
What I love about
2011.
Yeah, what I love about Judge is he if I could describe him as a coach, I would say this: he holds you accountable.
He reminds me of Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, he holds everybody, every player. He doesn't care where you were drafted. He doesn't care who you are. He holds you accountable. I can't remember. I think it was an offensive lineman during the season blew a block, and they argued with him. He sat his ass on the bench.
Yeah, it was Johnson, the 4th overall pick.
Yeah. He sat in that.
Andrew Thomas. Yeah, Andrew Thomas.
Or Thomas, sorry.
That also had
Andrew Johnson. That's a president, isn't it? That's not the present moment.
That also had to do with their offensive line coach, Guglielmo. I forget what his name is. And he got fired a week later. And then Judge took over. Yeah, sure. But like a lot of that to do it. But once that offensive line coach went and Thomas swung back to the left solely, Thomas was unbelievable. So it's one of those things where like players want to play for this guy. He's literally saved Dave Gettleman's behind. Our free agencies the last 2 years have been amazing. So I see what they're doing. And Toney, they could have grabbed – listen, obviously Philly did a number on them to go up and get Devonta Smith. The Giants were lined up with Waddle or Devonta Smith. It felt like that's how they were going. Okay, Philly came up. We did what we never do. The Giants traded back. They've grabbed an extra 1st or 4th or 5th or whatever the hell they've grabbed. And they picked up a guy that fits a role that maybe Smith might not have done. Like, I know Toney's not – I don't think I'm going to have to drop a first on Kadarius Toney. In the 2nd round, I'd take a shot at him, and I have no problem with that too. But, like, Gerson mentioned it before. Like, we spoke about A.J. Brown. Oh, A.J. Brown's in the Titans. We don't want none of that because they're garbage. Like, Toney could walk in and be the 2nd best receiver they have.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's crazy.
He's got the talent. He's got the athleticism there.
And that's crazy to think. But, like, you're right. 1st-round draft capital. He's going to walk into a slot role. He plays special teams, which they crave. And we don't have a guy that does that. He fits an absolute role. So, like, I get that Toney's not the guy that everyone thought pre-draft. I don't think anybody wanted their team to draft Kadarius Toney in the 1st round. Is that fair? If what team wanted them to draft him first? No one.
I think, especially from a fantasy perspective, right? People who love returners might.
Bingo. But, like, in terms of, like, a football move for the football team in the Giants, it makes sense, and I get it. So I wasn't actually mad at it. I was like, oh, man, like, it could have been Bateman.
If anything.
Like, that was my first response. Oh, man, it wasn't Bateman. Oh, man, it's not Rondale Moore. Oh, man, it's not Terrace Marshall. And then the more I thought about it, it was like, he actually fits them better. He fits a need better than what these guys would right now, and I get it. Those guys aren't
fantasy,
as explosive as he is. I get it. They don't have that. Oh,
so you get, suppose Rondale Moore might be the only one that comes
not
close.
More, but again, we don't. Again, it sucks, but we don't have a punt and kick returner. It was like Austin Mack. Yeah, there you go. So like that was our guy, and at times Jabril Peppers. I don't want my starting safety returning punts and kicks. So
I feel like we talk too much about Tony, man.
Yeah,
Tony.
It does seem like it's one of those things where.
There we go.
Well, so if I could quickly compare Kadarius Toney to a wide receiver last year, this seems like very Henry Ruggs. Fit a specific role. It's not going to be great for fantasy, though. I wonder if that, and then the first round capital. Now, to be fair, Ruggs, I rarely saw him in the first round last year. Like maybe a 110, 111, 112. He would have crept in at the back end of the first, but he wasn't really going to the first. And Toney goes about 20 picks later in the NFL draft. He probably isn't even getting to the first at all. So there is,
no one was
he'll be in the second round.
Ruggs last year.
The other thing too is that I don't think fantasy fans shouldn't hate that much. If they already didn't like Toney anyway, they don't like the landing spots. It should be good for them because okay, good. The receiver I didn't like went to the landing spot I didn't like, so I didn't waste a receiver I did like. So that should be also something that I guess that double count against. Even though the first round is there, again, we'll see where he falls. I mean, if he's going to the back end of the second round, like Gerson, I know you were talking about who could be a value, but it starts to scream it there a little bit.
So your wild card Toney then?
I think so. Yeah. That's what I'm going to go with officially because I have Marshall at 5. I can't count him as the wild card.
I mean,
so I believe I'm the highest on Marshall. I don't think anyone else had him in the top 5. So that might be. I mean, my thing. I know Mike, you spoke about your wild card, but yeah, I'm the Marshall guy.
The wild cards feel pretty good though. That's the thing. Like if you're going to throw a late pick at them, like
yeah. So this does seem like it's a lot of wide receivers in the second round, in super flex drafts, especially. So yeah, we'll keep counting the top 5 positions. I think Gerson wants to pass right over to quarterbacks. So yeah, Gerson, you want to start us off?
That should be right back. I mean, quarterback the easiest. I think number 1 is Trevor Lawrence. Number 2 now, this is where it's going to change because a lot of people are going to have an opinion. Number 2 for me is Justin Fields still. Number 3, Trey Lance. Number 4, Zach Wilson. Sadly, I don't like him that much either. Number 5, Mac Jones. I mean, when a guy is walking down the NFL draft looking like he's carrying at a Walmart, holy crap, man! That guy was like the way he was pacing. They did a video of the way, I don't know if you guys ever seen it, where Bill Belichick walks out.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's bad.
They did a video of what's his name, Mac Jones. It was the same thing. I was like,
is that why Belichick liked Brady so much? Did Brady have that same walk too? Is it a dad bod thing? Are we really like this unathletic as possible guy? Yeah.
I don't know, but
my Lakers players seeing Mac Jones next to Cam Newton. Like you got an Adonis, next to Mac Jones. That's why I was like, they're not gonna trust this guy for shit.
My wild card is people are probably gonna, I don't know, is Davis Mills because he's probably gonna get the closest to get an opportunity as quick as possible. Because Tyrod Taylor, like, yeah, sure, but if he doesn't do good, they're gonna be like, all right, let's see what we have in Davis Mills. I don't see Kyle Trask taking time away from Tom Brady anytime soon, and Kellen Mond. Well, unless Cousins completely sucks, and you're gonna pay him what $21 million he's making probably. Yeah. But my wild card is Davis Mills.
So I'm just going to cut in quickly because I have the exact same rankings as Gerson. And I wonder if the 2 and 3 is where the interesting facet is. I think especially, in super flex leagues, those are probably the second and third picks in the draft overall. So that's going to be the interesting discussion point. So I'll just quickly state that. Mike will get to you and then we can talk about all these after. Oh, no, after Dan, of course.
No, Mike, go first, please. I want to hear what Mike has to say.
You hit it on the head, though. My number 1 is Lawrence. My number 2 is Trey Lance. My number 3 is Justin Fields. 4, Wilson. 5, Mac. And the one comment I want to make fun of with Mac Jones about that video of him, it looked like he was shuffling to go to the restroom after Taco Bell.
I wasn't cut off.
Wait, he said, wait, and he said, I hope he wiped his ass after that.
That's it. I'm actually with Mike on this. I had look at the shuffle. I love it. I to be honest, I love Justin Fields. To me, I actually had him ahead of Trevor Lawrence pre-draft because I don't care what the Jags do. But I was also Justin Fields to the 49ers. I think there's too much uncertainty about the Chicago Bears. Does anyone believe Matt Nagy's going to be there next year?
Right, Fields could save his job. Fields could save his job.
Right, we're saying that, but we're talking. Fields is going to be there in a year's time. That's non-negotiable. But we're talking about there could be a brand new head coach. No Allen Robinson. No Jimmy Graham. David Montgomery might be iced by then too. Darnell Mooney could be something or nothing, and Anthony Miller might not even be on the roster. We're talking about Chicago that might have nothing. Cole Kmet, if he's something, being available. Flip the script. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle are as safe as houses. That's how I feel about it. So I'm looking at my quarterback who has the same traits as Fields in some regard. I also look at Kyle Shanahan, and when we were going through this whole process, all I kept thinking was, I'm probably not the only one, but Trey Lance RG3. That's all I kept thinking. And I was like, yeah, I know it's a bit more raw than that. And I know it's not the best comp, but I'm thinking how he could be used. And that's all I'm looking at. I'm like, he's got the same rushing sort of ability, can throw a deep ball. It's really pretty. And he's got George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel for the foreseeable future. I just don't like what Chicago have available. I just don't like what they have available for some sort of the next 2 to 3 years of success for Justin Fields. Now, that's not to say that you can't take a quarterback and make them successful. Deshaun Watson, aside from Hopkins, was throwing the garbage for a while.
Yeah.
Right? So I understand that argument too. But if you're going to tell me that Lance is going to sit for a couple weeks until they find somewhere to take Jimmy Garoppolo, I can handle that for the 102 with Trey Lance. I love Fields more than anyone. I think I have him in terms of that. I still had him ahead of Lawrence. Just because he's the 101 doesn't mean he's a 101. I feel like Fields, I think a lot of teams are going to, 7 teams in particular, 9 teams missed the boat on him in that regard. But I kind of find what San Fran have available and how Shanahan will probably use him. I don't know. I just don't trust anything Chicago does to be of substance in that particular.
That's fair. Looking at the offense, the 8 picks of difference. You got the top 5 capital.
It's going to be a different coach that's in next year, and they might come in and shake the whole damn thing up, and that's a problem too.
It is, although again, considering the team is it may not be the worst thing in the world, but
yeah. Well, there's a.
Actually, maybe I changed my wild card from Davis Mills to Sam Ellinger. Ellinger, sorry, for the Colts there. Just knowing Carson Wentz's fragility, but
Kellen one for me was the.
Did he get drafted
for the Vikings? Yeah, he got the 2nd round or 3rd round draft capital. But
yeah, Kellen one for me.
Right, Sam Ellinger. Did he get drafted?
Colts.
Oh.
Mike, thanks, Mike.
I got it. Don't worry. I got you guys. I got this.
Yeah, Mike's the source. Drop the sources, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, this is coming right through my. I have cable, so this is coming right through.
Oh, sorry, we're not rich enough. Sorry.
No, trust me. If it wasn't for sports, I would not have cable. Trust me.
I have Hulu Live TV, but it's just like so much far behind. I mean, I don't live in Canada like Kyle and has it an hour behind, but you know.
To be fair, I'm not even watching on TV. I'm just waiting for the NFL.com website to update. That's why I'm always behind.
I don't know. Like, I think Lance and Wilson are very close. It just depends your cup of tea, you know. The thing that, and I've said this already, 3 times, Kyle. The thing that worries me about Lance is that we're gonna have to wait.
Yep,
I think we're gonna have to wait.
And again, taking him 103, let's say. Your team's probably not that bad. So I think you can afford to wait the year, tank in a sense, get another high pick.
Why didn't they give that 3rd round pick to the Texans for Garoppolo? Why didn't they do that? I am miffed about that. Like,
the contract?
Maybe, sure.
Maybe the Texans don't even want to give up the 3rd, though. That's the thing. The 49ers can cut Garoppolo easily. I wonder if teams that are interested are looking at that, just knowing that they want to cut him so bad that they're not going to trade for him. They're just going to wait for him to cut, hope he, and try and get him that way. I suppose if you really want him, you really believe. But what team really desperately needs a quarterback? It's the Broncos, and again, they passed on Fields, so I mean, I don't know what's going on there. So clearly,
I think the Broncos are all in on Aaron Rodgers. They're going to try to get him as much as they can, and they're going to wait until it all unfolds. Right now it's being reported that Aaron Rodgers wants the GM fired. That's what he wants. Yep. If he doesn't get it, he's not going to come back. And
I liked the draft this year. I don't get it.
Yeah, he's mad about Jordan Love. He's salty. As much as he doesn't want to admit it, he's mad about Jordan Love. He's mad that he didn't get a wide receiver last year. Yeah, he got one this year, but guess what? His team was great last year. They're ready to go. What happened? He needed an offense to match Tom Brady in that drive. He didn't have it. He had Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones. Okay, but you would have gotten, let's say, Dynamite Brown? Is it? No, is it Rodgers, right? What's his name?
Amari Rodgers, yeah.
Amari Rodgers. Holy shit. Amari Rodgers. I love Amari Rodgers. I think he's a stud. So
of course, if Kevin King defends properly, they probably don't even have to score at the end. They're the ones leading and forcing the Bucs to make the miracle comeback.
Yeah, but it wasn't Kevin King's fault. Oh yeah, it was Kevin King's fault.
The Scotty Miller one. There's also the third down play at the very end of the game where he commits a penalty. I mean, turnover on you get the ball back on third. There's actually maybe another chance for the Packers to score.
Or what was it? The first down in the red zone or the field goal? That was the coach's decision. He made that stupid.
You could have gone for it on fourth and goal from the 8, or try and kick a field goal, get the ball back, and win with a touchdown rather than score and hope you get to overtime. I kind of got the decision. I wasn't totally sold on it, but I wasn't totally opposed on it. I think there were other factors as to why they lost. But Kevin King allowed a pretty bad touchdown to Mike Evans early in the game too. To me, corner was the position. It's a hill I'll keep dying on, but I as soon as I saw corner in the first round, I was happy. It was that's it. That was the one they needed, and they got a really athletic corner in Eric Stokes that I think really helps them. So
yeah, but I don't think Stokes.
Yep.
So draft announcement: Broncos. That's Williams.
Nice. That's pretty nice. That's good. I mean,
late
another weapon. Yeah, it's another weapon, but
Aaron Rodgers.
He couldn't get ahead of Demetric Felton, though. That doesn't reflect well.
Yeah. No, I know Dan don't.
I guess NFL teams don't care that he's so young with the age-adjusted metrics. They thought he was younger, 21.
Tim Patrick was fairly viable at Denver, and I know that had to do with Cortland Sutton not being there and all that, but the third receiver in Denver still has value to a degree. Yep. Whether he can beat out Tim Patrick's another thing. Again, if we're talking about Noah Fant taking that step forward, which I agree with Gersten in that regard, I think he will. Fant's, I do too. He's on here, right? So, again, if Fant takes a big step forward and Judy takes a step forward and Sutton works into what he can be, it's hard for another receiver, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, or now Seth Williams, to do more than what I think is being asked of them. I think they're kind of stuck in that regard. But, you never have – I think this might be maybe Cortland Sutton's last year in Denver in terms of how his contract works.
He's going to want a big contract, that's for sure.
That's right. So Sutton off the back of a knee to have a big year with Seth Williams and Judy there, I mean, as a trio, that's pretty good, I think. So, again, Judy and Fant for me are going to take the biggest step forward, I think, for the Broncos, and Sutton will do what he does. And, again, to see Javonte Williams there as well, that's why I just didn't like the fit. I don't know. I thought maybe Michael Carter in Denver would have been a better fit than Williams.
As opposed to similar skill set to Gordon, right? They don't call each other.
I don't get it. Melvin Gordon could be gone at the end of the year because he's last year. He only signed a 2-year deal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they cut him too. I don't know, but
there's not a maybe. He's going to be gone. There's no way.
Yeah, it felt like such a weird pick because, why don't cut Melvin Gordon and keep Philip Lindsay on the cheap, and go keep money elsewhere? If you know that Williams is the guy on your board, why not keep Lindsay, cut Gordon, and move forward? Because Lindsay's now he's on Houston's team with a bunch of David Johnson and Mark Ingram, right? may as well keep Philip Lindsay, who does something. If you got Williams who's similar, it just made no sense. Again, unless they move on from Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, day one, let's go. But
I mean, even from last year though, Gordon was still like their designated third down back, like in terms of like better in pass protection than Lindsay.
He had a good year.
They gave him tons of opportunity, so I wonder if that too, like they trust him as a passing back, and they don't trust Lindsay in that regard. And I don't know that they want to trust a rookie Williams to do that right away. So give him more of the early stuff, and Gordon is their third down back with more upside in terms of getting some goal line carries.
It goes back to my point. You may as well have waited to get Michael Carter.
Yeah,
and let Melvin Gordon run into brick walls every time, and have Carter working with his hands. Like it felt like a weird pick in that regard. And this is a guy that they were talking about, like the 102, right? Like in terms of like running backs anyway, like the second best running back. People were kind of fluctuated between him, Harris, and ETN. He was heard of as second best running back. Now it's just like
he's third, but it does seem like okay. So I just want to talk tiers with the quarterbacks. How do you guys view the tiers? Because I'm actually seeing Lawrence, Fields, and Lance in one tier together. Like as much as we all agreed Lawrence was number one, I kind of view that as a tier of three, really, to me. And maybe Wilson in his own tier and Jones a little further behind in his own tier.
I have to say the same thing. I agree with you. There's only a first tier with those three quarterbacks, Lance, and the only reason why Lance and Field are in the same tier as Trevor Lawrence, the almighty sunshine, rainbow, whatever you want to call him, savior of the Jaguars, is because they have rushing upside. In fantasy, we care about rushing upside. I mean, if they were just average rushing upside quarterback, I mean, like let's say they had like I guess that's not a good comparison. Just an average quarterback that can,
like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure I'm correct, but Scott Connor talked about how top 12 quarterbacks that had more than 400 yards rushing and are always top 12 quarterbacks, and they played a full season. And so I see the upside for Field and what's his name, Lance. But of course, and I don't think neither one of them start out the gate. So
I kind of get the sense Fields is probably going to start week one, especially if Nagy and Pace are trying to save their jobs. I think you got to try and get the rookie out there as quick as possible, I would think. But maybe not Nagy. Maybe Nagy doesn't want to trust his job to a rookie, but I'm sure Pace, in an attempt to try and save his job, is maybe going to push the issue. So I actually expect Fields to be the week one starter.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that might be part of why I do have him at 2 still firmly.
Yeah, basically I agree with what you said. There's 3 tiers. But the thing is, the third tier, just kind of like
Jones is in his own tier. Like I do, he doesn't have as much rushing upside as the guys below him. Maybe even like a Kellen Mond, for instance. But like, I expect Jones has a chance to start this year. I don't see it with any of the other 3. Again, maybe Mills, but Mills also not the most rushing upside. Some more than Jones, obviously. Everyone's more than Jones.
I think in that tier, everybody can point to Kellen Mond, right? Because I don't know, I'm not high. Like I remember, I listened to you and Dynasty Quarterback podcast.
Yeah,
and you made 100%. Like you were like spot on. I'm like, I'm not that high on Kellen Mond. Like, yeah, sure, he just didn't improve every year. I mean, he's just kind of the same quarterback. Like, yeah, but like the way I put it, now we're in the NFL. Tampa Bay, great weapon. Kyle Trask, okay. Kyle Pitt, Kadarius Toney, he had weapons back there. Now you got Kellen Mond, Minnesota, Justin Jefferson. I don't know how much longer Adam Thielen is going to play, but I don't think he's going to have a future with Kellen Mond. But David Hill, no good weapon. So like
Brandon Cooks, but yeah, again, that's how much longevity there. Mike, do you want to chime in about the QB tiers or something else?
No, I got a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen a long snapper drafted in the draft?
I think I feel like it happens usually 6th, 7th round.
It just happened.
The Panthers?
Yep.
All right.
I've never seen that actually. I probably never watched a draft past the 6th round. After that,
I've watched it, but I just don't remember ever seeing a long snapper yes, this guy won the Long Snapper of the Year award in college football, but I still have never seen it.
Can you imagine getting that trophy? You're like, yes.
Long Snapper of the Year.
Yeah, Dan, you made it just in time to see a long snapper get drafted to the Panthers. Although just before that, Thomas Fletcher, long snapper to the Panthers. The pick immediately before, Daz Newsome, wide receiver to the Bears. Is that a depth chart that he could move up pretty quick? Or is he just, because he's a 6th round compensatory pick, we're just...
I think we were talking about Anthony Miller earlier. I think this could mean, I know there was talks about him not being on the team this year anyway. I think this could be a depth move, or if something is, if they have already know what they want to do with Miller, I think this is the move.
I mean, he's 5'10", 190. I'm not overly excited for it. And coming into, you guys said the Bears, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Join Justin Fields.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I honestly think Darnell Mooney's the guy there. I'm buying all the shares of Darnell Mooney. I mean, I'm riding that to the moon. No pun intended.
Mooney to me is by far their number 2, but I think that Newsome could be a replacement for Anthony Miller. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of crazy because I thought they would trade Anthony Miller before the draft. Or,
what trade value did he have?
I think that's the problem. Who wants to? I'm sure they've tried so hard to trade him, and no one wants him. Everyone's like, I'm not giving up a 7.
There's no short, shifty slot receivers in this year's draft. That's all there is. It feels like it's something.
Yeah, no, it is. That's all there is.
That's all there are.
You're
like
right,
Daz Newsome.
That's Newsome.
I don't know if he plays in the slot.
The thing about Newsome, he's very athletic. Like he's a very kind of a quick in and out guy. So but the thing is, it's just he fits very natural in the slot. So, and I think they drafted him maybe for his punt return skills. So if he's a special team player, and special team players eventually can get onto the, look at Devin Hester. He was playing wide receiver. He was cornerback starting out, and then he started playing wide receiver for them later on in his career. And shout out to Devin Hester. There's never going to be another Devin Hester. I thought there was never going to be another Dante Hall, and then Devin Hester came through. I was like, holy crap, that is awesome. Yep. But, I think maybe they drafted him more for special teams than anything. The Bears, they're looking to entertain their fans saying, hey, this might be the next Devin Hester. There's not going to be another Devin. Well, maybe, but you know what I mean.
At some point, do we feel bad for Sam Howell? They've lost Daz Newsome, De'Ami Brown, Michael Carter, and Javonte Williams. That poor guy, he's going to turn up for preseason for North Carolina and look around.
Is this almost Deshaun Kaiser, right? Because going into his final year, he lost a bunch of guys and he fell out of the first round entirely. I don't think that's happening with Howell. Obviously, Kaiser came in the same class as Mahomes and Watson, so that really worked against him. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Howell, Spencer Rattler, probably. The only one he's really competing against for the first overall. Yeah. I mean, Barrow came out of nowhere to be first overall, so someone could still rise up. But I don't know much about college. That's literally all I can add is just naming those names. So let me know if I'm wrong.
Listen, I'm not far from you on that, but I know Sam Howell because of these guys, and he did really well. And you look around and you're like, man, that guy's just lost everything. Yeah.
So Gerson wants to get to running back. We'll run over there in a sec. Just talking about the tiers. I'll keep making those points. Just with the tiers, one thing I actually want to talk about was tiers with wide receivers. I know we've already ranked them. So quickly with those wide receiver tiers, I know we all had Chase 1. Do we all have Chase in a tier alone? Because I know I do. I don't know if there's any opposition there.
I'm okay to throw Waddle up there too. I actually love the landing spot. I'm very well to throw him in there because, listen, Chase, we all love him, right? He's everyone's top receiver. That's not even up for debate. But they still have Tyler Boyd. They still have T. Higgins. They still have Joe Mixon. He's gone into quite possibly the more ambiguous room than any of them. He's still got a lot of work to do because, T. Higgins looked super good at the end of the year there, right? He looked really good. And Tyler Boyd is super safe. So, Waddle again, there's a lot of receivers in that room, but Preston Williams, you can almost write him off now. Devonta Parker will be gone in the year. Will Fuller's probably going to try and find a contract elsewhere in a year's time. Jalen Waddle's probably their top receiver on their books. And That I feel like he hit jackpot. That's it. You're hoping Tua lives up to his end of the bargain now. And what do his work now?
What's your tier though? Like how many tiers are we going to do? Like 3?
Well, just I'm just thinking more of that top 5, right? I just wanted to kind of situate where we had those top 5 because the rankings are one thing, but I think the tiers is good. So I just wanted to start is Chase in his own tier or not is really the first question.
Can we throw Kyle Pitts in this conversation?
No.
Well,
because there's no tight end tiers, right? There's one.
Okay.
And nothing.
Okay, let's talk about. Okay, we're talking this, from a draft position point of view, I guess. If we are drafting in rookie drafts, and these are the guys that are available, I think the question you're asking, okay, do I desperately need a running back? Is it super flex? Do I need a quarterback? Once those questions are gone, the wide receiver tight end comparisons exist. So, rookie draft, all those guys are available. I think we'll stick Chase, Waddle, Pitts. What's the order? Let's take no premium to start with, just even scoring for all 3.
I'm gonna get criticized for this.
You said what? You said Chase, Waddle, and Pitts.
Yeah, let's just start with those 3 because I think
that's the order for me. That's the order.
We all had Waddle at 2, right? I think that was unanimous.
So let's
Gerson didn't. No. I don't think Gerson did.
Oh, Gerson? You didn't?
No, I had Waddle number 2.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Mike, sorry, who did you have 2?
I had Waddle. I was wrong. I thought Gerson had some.
Oh, okay. All right, so I was right. So so we all had Waddle 2. Let's just take those 3, for instance. So Pitts, Waddle, and Chase. What order are we drafting them in?
I'm going Chase, Waddle, Pitts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so this is a 1 quarterback league.
It doesn't matter with quarterback. I think we'll say start 1 tight end, no premium. We'll start with that.
Okay. Yeah. Chase, Pitt, Waddle.
Okay.
Pitts, Dan.
I think because of my tier separations, as much as I dislike Pitts, I think I would go Chase, Pitts, Waddle, but that is really close. That's tricky. Maybe you guys are convincing me a little bit on the Waddle landing spot if I can warm up to that. And the idea of you guys having him in the top tier makes sense to take him ahead of Pitts.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't know.
Positions, I don't know if G and Kyle are right, but I think they're right. Yeah. Definitely.
You were on there, Kyle, but I think I heard Jeff Bell say in a 1 quarterback league, Jeff.
Sorry, Mike, can you repeat that, please? In a 1 quarterback league,
Jeff Bell said he would take.
I have a hard time over either Harris or Etienne, and even Javonte Williams. I'm thinking that he eventually gets a ton of opportunities there. I don't know. I'd have a hard time, but I'm the running back guy, so of course I'd say that. I would go Chase, I think for sure still, and you're leaning me on Waddle. So is there any okay? So I had Bateman 3, it was either Bateman or Smith. It seemed like at 3. Is anyone taking either of those 2 over Pitts?
No.
Probably not. Maybe a little temptation on Bateman, but probably not. No, I think that's the line we're at with Pitts, that he's at least the wide receiver 3 in this class if we're taking just pass catchers in general.
I'm still not putting Pitts in that group. I've got Chase, then Waddle, and then you can figure the rest out.
Can I give a hot take? Can I give a hot take?
Sure.
Yes.
I think
it's kind of cold.
Yeah. I think they're not going to trade Julio away, obviously. But I wouldn't be amazed if sooner or later Pitt plays so much wide receiver position that fantasy league might actually say he's a wide receiver, not a tight end, and he'll lose his tight end eligibility. That's what I'm more worried about. I think he might be the first ever tight end that ever happened to.
Because it didn't happen to Graham, even though he played. He argued when he was trying to get more money from the franchise tag of the amount of snaps he played outside as opposed to in line, and they never did it for Graham because I think it's the official team designation, right? As long as the team keeps calling him a tight end, and I feel like Atlanta, it's in their best interest to do that, just to keep the franchise tag amounts lower or any type of 5th-year option lower. I don't know if 5th-year option is based on position, but
I can't remember who said it, but it was someone asked either the owner or the coach or one other person in Atlanta. They asked him, "Is Kyle Pitt a wide receiver or tight end?" And they said, "We'll see when we have to franchise him or something like that. You know? So like,
oh no, Kelsey makes too much money. Let's actually tag him to wide receiver. No, I feel like there's no interest for the Falcons to ever call him a wide receiver. So I don't know that fantasy leagues will change that. I think that's when they'll stay in line. I know like Ty Montgomery, when it changed from a wide receiver to a running back, that seemed. I think that's the reason they do it. If, okay, this player's getting carries, like it's a tangible thing that you can look at the box score without even knowing the position and say, this feels like it needs to be in this position, because that's how running backs score points. I don't see it happening for a, sorry?
Or Taysom Hill?
No.
Oh my God. Did anybody get drama out of that? Taysom Hill last year when he was the quarterback tight end on like certain,
well, Yahoo's always had their opinion. They've always done this. If they have a player listed as a position and at the season, they're not changing it in season. That was the thing with Jalen Samuels. I remember I took advantage of that when Jalen Samuels was a tight end. And he was getting Connor was hurt and he was getting running back roles. I put him in my tight end spot. I definitely took advantage of that. And so that's how the Yahoo does, I know. And it's there. Anyone can, if you see the dual eligibility, it's there.
What is it called? Season long winner? Jalen Samuel legit won so many people's championships. Yeah. You know, during those weeks in the playoff and everything, he was averaging like 18, 16 points a game. For a tight end.
He would have been the tight end 2 or 3 probably. So it's I gave you that position advantage suddenly.
So I lost that fucker.
Wait, hang on. Let's. Can I come back to this? How are the Saints rolling into a season with Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, and Ian Book? How is this still? What is going on over there?
They must. Well, they do have faith in Taysom Hill can be a quarterback, or
not a chance.
Winston literally needed this whole time to learn the playbook. It's a Sean Payton offense, super complex. I think we all know Winston's not the best thinker, right? So he's got some Brett Favre in him in that sense. So like I think it literally took him this much time just to learn the playbook. If once he knows it, I kind of feel like he's going to be the starter this year. I don't know. I don't buy into the Taysom Hill at all. I think I've got one dynasty share of each. I've got the share of Hill, share of Winston. So all I'm hoping for is that it's not just a split, that one of them gets it. So I at least have a QB in one of those leagues.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I just can't believe that they thought that it would be a great idea to wait that long to take a quarterback they aren't going to use. It's just absolute garbage. Like, unbelievable.
Dynasty Mike's laughing at the fact that you mentioned Ian Book, that he's trash, and he says crikey. I don't know if that's specifically.
I know what that means.
Yeah, he's throwing that one at me, but that's fine. Ian Book is trash, and God damn, like the Saints, like you look at teams that have evolved, like Carolina, like in that division as a whole. Like, they've regenerated everything. Like, Tampa kept the same team. They're in the hunt for the Super Bowl again.
But, why wouldn't they? Yeah.
Right. But, like, when Tom Brady goes, what is left in that division? Carolina have laid a very good groundwork for a very, very good team. They did all defense last year. And they come back and they grab Terrace Marshall and who's the guy? Not McKitty. It's the other guy, right? Like, they look like they've put down the groundwork for a very competitive team in a year's time. And if Sam Darnold turns out to be what he could be, that's a team that, like, Atlanta could be trash in a year into a time when, like, Matt Ryan's out.
Well, they're going to trade up for a quarterback.
I'll be back at pick 4 again.
Yeah, they're hoping. They don't want to miss their only chance. Don't want to spend too long on this, but another long snapper got taken, this time by Washington. Cameron Cheese.
Hey, you don't have a long snapper, or are you even a football team?
Well, they do now. Still don't have a name.
I'm going to go practice my long snapping. Maybe I'll get in the NFL.
There you go. Long careers, if you're lucky. So we talked about the wide receiver tiers. Did you want to extrapolate on the wide receiver tiers? Like, that next tier, Bateman, Devontae Smith is, I might put Terrace Marshall up in that tier. Is anyone else thinking like, is that a tier just to itself? Those two, Smith and Bateman, or
I'd still find it hard not to put Elijah Moore in there right now. And if you're looking at opportunity, like, how do you keep Nico Collins and Amon-Ra St. Brown out of that? If opportunity is equal, right? Like, if we're saying Devonta Smith is a guy at Philadelphia who's going to walk into, like, a stupid amount of targets, Amon-Ra St. Brown's about to do the same thing with a whole round discount. Does that make sense? In terms of tier, like, I don't know.
And that
I
almost
feel like the wide receiver tier after that's a bit more complex than what it should be.
I think my tier is going to be just Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith together.
Bingo.
and then everything else is actually one giant tier. It's not very clearly Devontae Smith and Rashad Bateman. Like that would be the two. Like, am I thinking of maybe almost a mini tier of those two, and then everyone else? Just because again, the first round capital is the difference maker for them.
That's a cluster.
It's not even first round capital. I think it's more opportunity and usage, like the system you're in. Because like my tier would be Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, the second tier. And then after that, I would add like Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, Rondo Moore.
Okay.
Even Emmanuel St. Brown in that tier. And then
Diami Brown could even enter that tier. So that's one massive tier of maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 guys. So
like
maybe the lesson here is not to force the picks at receiver, is to try and trade back. The early second might be good to trade back in the mid second. I mean, I almost want to take Michael Carter ahead of all of them, just because if there's so little differentiation, I'd rather just grab the running back and try and find my way to the end of that tier. Maybe even get it.
Trade back, get value. Trade back, keep getting picks or players.
But I almost wonder, should Michael Carter be considered more valuable than even Devontae Smith, just because he, I like the landing spot. I think with the Jets, if it is a committee, he's the best position to produce the most because of his, innate explosive ability. He can kind of get to more yards on fewer touches. So maybe I'm overly confident.
What are we thinking? Like Devontae Smith and Michael Carter with him, like 108, 107?
Are we talking one QB or super flex?
Let's just say one QB, just no super flex, nothing. What are you thinking, Kyle? Where do you think?
I think Michael Carter is a first round pick in single QB. Just
I know,
because,
but what rating?
Probably okay. So math through it. Not okay. So Harris, Etienne, Williams, Pitts, Chase, Waddle, Smith, Bateman, like 7, 8, 9. I'd probably say 9 right there.
Okay, so you just said all those guys, Devontae Smith and Michael Carter Williams. You don't think you can get Michael Carter Williams at 110?
Trade down a spot. Yeah. Keep trying to trade down, but at a certain point, I guess it depends on what it costs too, right? Like, if I'm not really gaining that much value, like I'll give you a late third. I'd almost rather I'll just grab the running back now, and the certainty, the risk of not, because all it takes is one person to really like the running back and his the spot. I know, Sermon probably goes before him, so maybe I don't, you don't need to take Carter in the first round, but I almost feel like I'm just so unexcited about these guys that he's the one that really gets me going.
So here's the truth about this whole fantasy draft this year, guys. What you had as expectations, all these receivers, running back, and tight end, well, actually only one tight end, and quarterback, guess what, guys? It's overall the value went down on them. I don't think this year's draft, like last year's draft, J.K. Dobbins, the Ravens, oh my God. Jonathan Taylor.
Akers to the Rams.
Yeah, it's just like Cam Akers. It just kept kept raising the value. I think this year's draft, if you were one of those people that went all in and got picks after picks after picks, man, not looking pretty.
The seconds you want to package them to get into the first again, and
you're gonna have to, because like my brother did the same thing in our draft, and my brother's like in the mountain basically. He's in Moab. I don't know if you guys know where Moab is. It's like the national ark. And he messaged me and he goes, "I just got like 5 minutes of services. Freak, are you kidding me? All my draft picks are shit now." And I'm like, yeah, I mean, because I was looking at players, I'm like, well, that's not good for him. That's not good for him.
Yeah, it's funny to touch on that. Like, a lot of the time I've heard this offseason, like, you want those back-end first-round picks, right? And even at those back-end first-round picks right now, like, you're sitting there going, I got a pick at the 111. And at the 111, I was sitting there going, man, I think Bateman might fall. He might fall back further than that right now. That's what's madness out of this. Especially Superflex. That guy's going to fall extremely far back. I'm looking at this going like, man, these guys are just going to keep dropping. Like, if you're in a Superflex league, why aren't the first 5 picks quarterbacks at this point? I know that sounds stupid. But you're looking at it going like,
I don't think that's that stupid.
I know, but that's the madness of it. Like, if you've got the first 5 picks in a Superflex 2 QB league, you're looking at that going, like, okay.
Maybe Najee Harris?
Yeah, like maybe Harris.
He might be the only guy.
Even like ETN, you're going, ugh. Like that's the thing. Like you look, okay, these receivers, but like receivers kind of pop off anyway. That's what's madness about this at this point. Like, I've got a few like back end firsts, and I'm sitting there going, oh, I don't know who's going to fall to me at like 111, 114. I don't know what's going to be there at this point. I've got another one at like the 115. I'm like, unless I come up, like I feel like that's kind of redundant at this point.
Yeah, so I have the 108 in the super flex with Jay and Dan. And Dan, we were talking about a trade offer, and he's like, at 108, you might be able to get Bateman. Just like you're saying, Dan. Eagle Dan
get him at the 205 now. Yeah.
Now you might be able to get him at the high twos or mid twos now.
It's crazy. Because people will freak. People will abandon their process. It's the AJ Brown corollary, right? Like AJ Brown for me, when he first came out, I was like, he's my second best receiver. I love him. Goes to Tennessee, bounce. Right? I was all off him. I've regretted it ever since. Like you're looking at a guy like Bateman at this point. Like,
I definitely drafted Paris Campbell ahead of AJ Brown with the opportunity.
And there was a lot worse players that went ahead of him too. And you're looking at it going, man, like.
I think I even flipped Campbell almost immediately for a future first. So people like that wasn't even a hot, like people wanted Campbell. Like, and it's.
Yeah, it made sense. Like the idea behind it made sense because at that time, I think, was it Luck he was meant to be paired up with and then Luck bounced. All right. So it's one of those things like.
Bounced off the turf too many times.
Luck didn't bounce. He dropped dead. Yeah.
There's
so many people in startup draft. Like, it's sad. Like, when he retired, I just saw, like, comment on Twitter, I just drafted him in my startup draft. I just drafted him in my dynasty draft. I just drafted him in my redraft. I'm like, oh, man.
And Dan dropped too, just like Andrew Luck now. No. You're not Andrew Luck, Dan. Don't worry. You keep coming back.
Not even a story worth telling. Let's carry on.
All right. So I guess we can talk running backs now. I think the 6th round is done, so we are in the 7th round here. Receiver Michael Strahan, Mike Strahan. He does go by Mike. I was wondering because I remember seeing some pre-draft stuff where you go in by Michael Strahan. It's like you have to go by Mike. You have to go by Mike. You can't live with that pressure. So Mike Strahan, wide receiver for the Colts, to start the 7th round.
Huh. And no Kylan Hill, no Jarrett Patterson, no.
That's madness.
This is the round where they're all going. Teams are like, okay, we don't value running backs, take them all in the 7th. Or I guess we see the priority UFAs. But yeah, looking not so good for those guys now. And yeah, this running back depth might not exist much more.
To mention that right before we go into our ranks, are we thinking that UFAs or 7th round would have to be Arizona, Atlanta, and Miami?
Even Arizona, I mean, they've got a couple. Like they had Jonathan Ward as a UFA, Benjamin as a 7th round. So I don't even know if I would say that one. I would probably just limit it to Atlanta and Miami.
Because I have Chase Edmonds, and I love hearing that.
Yeah, same.
I like Jonathan Ward, to be honest. Like, and I mean, even Benjamin. I know people criticize the vision. I think that might be the limitation that keeps him off the field. But athletically, he's pretty impressive.
Man.
So I don't know if they're getting any better. Like unless Jamar Jefferson, Kylan Hill, those might be the the 2 upgrades. But like even just random players, like if a Trey Ragas goes to Atlanta, I'm not gonna really raise him up.
No,
it's crazy that we think the player that gained the most value today or this whole draft is fucking Mike Davis.
Yep, I was thinking that too. Mike Davis is the real winner of the draft.
That says a lot, doesn't it? That's
like what I just. It's like what I just did about the draft. It hurt so many people, but it helped so many people.
Mike Davis and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are the takeaways. Say those are the 2 big winners.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson's a pretty big winner too, though. But like
Daniel Jones, like the quarterbacks that got weapons, even Tua really getting Waddle. That's huge for him.
I in my mock draft, I was debating. I actually said that they would trade up for Jalen Waddle. They would trade down with the charge. I need to check that, see how I did on that. But it just Waddle made a lot of sense, And when they picked him at 8, I was shocked. But I was like, okay, I saw it, but I didn't think they were going to pick him at not 8. What were they? 106?
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, when they picked him at 6, I was like, wow. I thought they were going to go with Sewell.
I'm telling you now. Every Giants fan thought that we were getting either Jalen Waddle or Devonta Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, because everyone was like, Rashawn Slater's going early. Pitts is going early. Sewell's going to go early. Someone's going to come up for a quarterback or two. Like, we didn't think we were actually going to be the team that let someone come up for a quarterback.
And then the teams that should have gone quarterback and didn't went corner. So the wide receivers were
that was the
there.
things like the whole. I kind of feel like maybe one of those receivers would have fell had Carolina and Denver not made that move, because they kind of negated each other with that. Like, well, their moves, respective moves with Bridgewater and Darnold, but there wasn't. I don't think there was a Giants fan that didn't think that either Waddle or Smith wasn't going to be a Giant.
Yeah,
that's how everyone was thinking. We're like, man, that's coming.
So Jamar Jefferson hasn't been taken, right?
Nope. Neither is Kylan Hill. I love both of them. Neither is Deion Jackson, the other running back I really like that I was pretty sure wasn't getting drafted and no one else probably ever heard of.
The kid from Buffalo is still not being taken, right, either?
Jared Patterson, yeah.
Wow.
I'm so shocked about the one I'm more shocked about is definitely Jamar Jefferson. I thought he was going to go top 5 round for sure, and I don't know why they don't like him. Like, I see a lot of potential in him. Like,
has Khalil Herbert gone yet?
Yeah, he went to the Bears here in the 6th round.
Wow.
217th.
That's a good spot. I can see why. No, I mean, running backs this year, I think they're a pretty easy tier. I think people are going to overthink some of the tiers, though.
Well, let's get to those rankings then, actually, and then we can talk the tiers for once you split the rankings, if you guys are down. Yeah. Gerson, do you want to start again?
Yeah, let me pull up my ranking, because I did this before. Where did I? Running back. Najee Harris, number 1. And when I say number 1, I mean he's on his own tier. Okay. I don't think nobody else is touching him. The second tier, it's going to go Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, Trey Sermon. It sounds weird because this is like the same draft order, but and after that, I'll stop the tier, and I think I'm gonna go. This is where it really gets really different, though. Like, you legit can pick from probably 5 running backs, but Michael Carter-Williams definitely right there. Kenneth Gainwell, because of the Miles Sanders always been getting hurt and stuff. Elijah Mitchell. No, actually not Elijah Mitchell. Sorry. Shubba Hubbard, because of the CMC upside to replace, and that's it. And then another tier, the rest of them are all kind of the same. I like Elijah Mitchell, don't get me wrong, but I just don't see the opportunity there.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Oh, Dan.
I'm good. I think outside of those 5 or 6, I don't know, mate. I think Gerson kind of nailed it. I'm looking at mine now, and Harris is the guy, and then you can cluster up Etienne. I think Etienne is probably, we can get past the coach speak. I think Etienne is the clear 2 there. Then you can cluster for me Williams, Sermon, and Carter, and then after that maybe Gainwell, and after that I don't care. Like I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but the reality is so what? It's literally I say it before, I say it again. Half the time you get so what on one hand and who cares on the other. And after the 6th or 7th running back, how many times? Who what? Yeah, right. Who?
So cares.
How many times are we going to hit on a James Robinson? And then after that, he got replaced
Philip Lindsay.
Philip was gone. It wasn't Melvin Gordon, and then it's Williams. It's just one of those things. I'm looking at these running backs going, okay, maybe after Carter, maybe Khalil Herbert, maybe there's some room there in Chicago. I'm looking at it going, but at that point, I'm just going to load up on something else. I'll shoot my shot elsewhere.
After thinking about it, Kyle has me. He convinced me to change my ranking.
Oh no!
I'm going to put Michael Carter-Williams up there with Javonte Williams and Sermon.
Yeah, and again, I think I've got Etienne. I think I'm going to go Harris, and then a break, then Etienne, because I don't believe a word Urban Meyer says, and then I'm going to cluster those 3, and however you feel about them, I'm not going to rank them 3, 4, 5. I'm going to say as a cluster, it's Williams, Sermon, and Carter. Like those three, it depends on the landing spot. You might like the Jets' position better than you do the Broncos, and that's fine. But you might like the talent that Williams has more than whatever. Like at that point,
I think
at that point, you can cluster those three. Like maybe Sermon falls back a little more because they grabbed who was the guy that they grabbed at San Fran after
Elijah Mitchell.
Like they just grabbed another running back on top of that too. So like maybe Sermon lose a bit of that too. So you can cluster those three up. And if you like a landing spot more than the other, you could.
While we talk about landing spot, I think one of the biggest things in fantasy that gets underrated is team need for your personal team. Because if you need a running back, you're going to be desperate. If you need a wide receiver, okay, you're going to reach for one. And like that's the thing. Like there's probably 3 running backs you for sure know you're going to get production on in the first year. And you can't even say that the third running back is for sure going to get one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like. If you see Najee Harris and you're the 102, 103 or 104 in a non-super flex league, you're going to want to trade up for it, you know? So, I mean, it's going to cost you quite a bit, though. Yeah. But that's the thing. This year's draft, it blew for running backs. Like, they could have been great. Like, it could have been better, but they went to places where, oh, my gosh, it just ruined the value, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. So Mike, how do your rankings and tiers reflect for these running backs?
I completely agree with everyone. Harris is on his own. I will preface my ETN by saying, just like Dan, I don't believe anything that Meyer says. I don't trust him at all. I haven't trusted him. I think he is. I know Kyle's heard me say this. I think he is one of those coaches that is not in the of the clock. He got the job. So now, on quick glance, Carter is my 3, Williams is my 4, Sermon is my 5.
Nice. I like that.
So I'm gonna go. Yeah, I think we all kind of say it, right? Like Harris is his own tier. I think everyone's, again, it's funny. Number 1 at the same at all 4 positions. I don't think that was a shock, really. And I mean, I had Harris as 1 before the draft anyway. Sorry. So to me, the fact that he got probably the best landing spot out of really every running back drafted except Michael Carter, I'd say Harris got the best landing spot. Even then, that might still, like the Steelers might still be the best landing spot out of the between them and the Jets. I think it's pretty close just based on opportunity. So already Harris 1 easy, Etienne 2, and a tier of his own, the first round capital. The fact that easy access to the pass catching role especially is a high value way to go about it. Even if he only gets 150 carries, if he gets 90 targets, that's going to be significant. So him at 2. And I think I've got a tier of Williams and Carter, and I'm getting against Sermon. So I could even maybe be flipped to Carter 3, Williams 4, but I think I'll stick with the draft capital, the likely opportunity for Williams over Carter. I mean, Coleman's still there. Michael P. Ryan, Ty Johnson, Josh Adams. It's much more crowded than, I guess, Denver. Gordon's more significant of a hurdle, but it could also be gone pretty soon. So yeah, I'll stick Williams 3, Carter 4. I'll say Sermon and this other player as like 5A, 5B, and it's actually a running back no one's mentioned yet. I was really high on this guy based on film tape alone. I had him right up there with Jamar Jefferson as a top 5 guy. It's a really what? Oh, okay. I guess everyone's afraid of this. This is another landing spot. I actually see it really similar to the 49ers, and this has always been, outside of some specific situations, a really bad committee. But I really like Ramondre Stevenson with the Patriots.
I knew you're going to go to LeGarrette Blount.
Feel that coming a mile away.
It's 2 versus 2 on this one.
I don't see the big difference between Stevenson and Sermon in their landing spots. And tape-wise, I like Stevenson more than Sermon. It's, again, big committee that we never really know what's going on. I mean, Damian Harris, Sony Michel, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, like it all seems like the same type of thing. I mean, there's a bit more draft capital with the Patriots, but I don't know. Michel really hasn't been the guy there. So I kind of like Stevenson has got the, I value him as like the type that could be a goal line back. He's got that skill set, the really good contact balance. This is not something like I don't really want to spend I definitely wouldn't spend a first round pick. something like a 210, maybe I'd spend on like a Stevenson.
Back and his name's Cam Newton. What are you talking about?
Is Cam? But that's the thing too. Is Cam even starting half the season this year?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're not fading from him this year.
Bill Belichick's not going to play a rookie quarterback.
No.
He's not going to play until Cam throws
Well, what if Cam gets hurt though? I mean, his injury history is there. What if they have no choice but to go with Mac Jones?
Okay, so they went 7-9 with an injured Cam Newton last year.
Let's say you're what if, right? Let's say Cam plays half of the season. That eliminates half of the production, or that eliminates no production for him because he's not going to play while Michelle and Damian Harris. Damian Harris is going to be the starting running back next year.
James White's still there too.
And then Cam Newton. So now he's fourth on the depth chart, right? Trey Sermon, at least, well, he's third right now, that's for sure. But they ain't no Jimmy G ain't going to be a rushing quarterback. So,
I like Hasty more. I'd say fourth, but that I know that's not actually the case. That's
yeah. So I mean, oh man, I can't. I knew you were going there.
I saw it coming too. I could feel it.
But the thing is, I just keep getting as soon as I saw that pick, I'm like LeGarrette Blount, right away. So maybe Belichick does the whole let's just give him touchdown, and touchdown can get you a lot of points. I mean, Blount's the only running back ever drafted outside top 5 or something like that round that ever had a top 12. No.
It's probably the outside the top 5 rounds to get a top 5 running back season.
Yeah,
that really doesn't happen. It's usually so opportunity based. We know who those guys are.
Yeah, so I mean, it's rare, but if anybody could do it, Bill Belichick can do it with a rookie running back. So I'm sorry I hated on it, but it's just
it also might be a reflection of how little I like most of these landing spots either. It was really tough to kind of reach for it, and I'm going back to the tape. Honestly, out of any running back that wasn't taken in the first 2 rounds, that has been drafted, he has my highest tape grade. Again, that's just me in my eyes. What the hell do I know? But maybe I'm relying on that a little, and enough of a production profile as well to fit in. And again, I like the skill set in particular, but yeah, not really excited. I'd spend a 3rd round pick on him, maybe 210, maybe again, something late second if I really needed a running back. But yeah, I don't really want to invest in anyone that's not in the top 4 personally.
I think Ramondre Stevenson, out of all the running backs that I've heard reports on, Scout and podcasts and people talk about him, he's the one running back that either you hate him or you love him. That's what it is. It's a love and hate relationship with him. I'm in the middle though. I don't hate him. I just don't see him being
an NFL footballer.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't draft him. That's the way I put it. I maybe a late round pick, but when you get into those later rounds,
listen, guys.
Upside.
Yeah, I got no problem taking a 3rd. That's what I'll say.
Here's the thing: guys like Kylan Hill, who aren't drafted yet, that go undrafted, are going to be out of sight, out of mind for half your league anyway. I'd rather take a shot at Kylan Hill and wherever he chooses to go over a guy like Ramondre Stevenson, who's the 4th running back, running back on the Patriots, and that doesn't even negate Cam Newton in there too.
Kyle would too. Wherever Kylan Hill is, he's gonna.
Yeah, I love Kylan Hill. He's one of him and Jamar Jefferson. Those are maybe the 2 guys that I really like more than Stevenson.
I'm just using them as an example, right? There's a lot of running backs that you could look at and go, okay, fine. Where's Javian Hawkins?
Yeah.
I'd rather Javian Hawkins over Ramondre Stevenson.
So far, he's the only rookie. He's the only rookie I have rostership of so far this year.
I'd rather find out where Rakeem Boyd's going. That's just me.
Yeah, true.
I'd rather Jarrett Patterson, where he chooses to go, is probably a better option than Ramondre Stevenson.
Deion Jackson.
Not a shot at this isn't a shot at you, Kyle, and your choice. But you're crazy.
Mike likes Ramondre Stevenson, right? Is that what you were saying? So why can defend? I feel like me and B Lee just attacking Kyle. And
I just hate
I'm
the
sure
landing
it's entertaining for the fans, so that's all that matters.
I just hate the landing spot. That's it.
Sure.
He can be better elsewhere. It's just Patriots is brutal.
I do like the anecdote that Gerson used that people love him or hate him. I was kind of neutral on him until I did some video film digging on him, And I even watched a 10-minute cut up of his junior college tape.
Yeah.
And I know it's junior college, don't get me wrong, but this guy was running over. I mean, this guy was freaking just demolishing dudes. And then when he went to, I know he has a little bit of character issues, but I think he's going to, and I know, just like Dan said, the LeGarrette Blount comparison is what's going to be said, but that's what I think it's going to be. And I would love for him to be on a team like, I think he is in the perfect position when Mac Jones becomes the quarterback.
There we go.
Because,
okay. That's fair.
Because of the fact that inside the 10-yard line, give him the damn ball.
There we go.
And that could be I think for sure next year, right? I mean, Cam Newton's on a 1-year contract. I get the sense that Mac Jones is the week 1 starter in 2022, regardless of anything that happens this year.
That's how I see it.
Unless they, Cam gets into the playoffs and they win playoff games and get close to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't see how he comes back. So even if it is just a 1 year out, it might be that too. But yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job going through all the positions. So I know, Dan, you're saying you're going to head out.
I got to bounce.
So, but Gerson, Mike, are you feeling satisfied with the talk? I mean, we've gone for over 3 hours now. So, I think this might be a good time to call it here. I know the 7th round is still going. So maybe check in later in the week. Maybe I'll tweet out some stuff. But unless a running back goes to Atlanta or Miami, there's really nothing more to talk about. I think from this point on,
not much. Yeah.
I just want to say this. Thanks for all you guys. Like, this weekend been a blast. Like, I told my boss I'm taking Friday off. I don't care what you say. I'm not coming in. And if you want me to come in, I'm gonna come in with a hangover and drunk. So pick your choice.
Hangover and drunk.
Yeah.
Well, person, you did chug that beer pretty quick after the Leatherwood.
Yeah, but like Mike, great show with you guys. I think I've done 2 shows with you guys, you and Kyle. I think I've done 3 shows with Kyle now. But B-League, I'm glad you dusted that mic off and came on this show because honestly, you make me fucking laugh every single time I just either watch you or just talk to you. I'm like, this is my type of dude. Like, I would have a beer with him,
Hey, I'm down. Listen, I'm going to come. Whereabouts are you again? You're not in Vegas, right?
No, I'm in Mormon. You're not going to come to Mormonville.
I'm not going to go to Mormonville. No.
I'll meet you in Vegas.
There we go.
Are you in Utah?
Yeah, I'm in Utah, sadly. But cheers, guys.
That's that 3% alcohol he's got there. That's
no. They changed it to normal beer. But yeah, no. Cheers, guys. Kyle, dude, I can't appreciate everything you do for going for 2 in a team. You're the real MVP. You are the real MVP.
Dan doesn't think so. Appreciate that.
No, it's just the Kevin Durant thing.
But yeah, I
think
think
funny every time I hear it.
glad for all the supporters of Going for 2. I think a shout out to all the listeners. For us, you can follow us on Twitter. It's on the screen. I think it's on the screen. I guess it's not on the screen, but Mike's at Drop the Mike FF. Dan at the B League Says. Gerson's at Fantasy G DFS. G for Gerson, G for God. We're not sure. I'm at Senra Says. Thank you all for listening to this. And again, check everything out at Going for 2 at going42live, going42.com/store for great hats, great shirts. Thanks. Yeah, Viridian Global. What a great store. So thank you, everyone. And
get some good shirts there.
Enjoy the end of the draft. But yeah, definitely go check out those shirts. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate this.
Peace.
Peace.